Good evening, this is the Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 meeting of the Union County Land Use Board. Call it to order. The first thing I'd like to do is ask Mr. Tilley, if you would please open us in a moment of prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together here tonight. Pray you'll bless this board, bless all the people here presenting their cases. Pray you'll just guide us and direct us. Pray you'll bless this county and bless this country. We ask this, Lord, in your name. Amen.
Amen. We'll stand. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, establish voting members, and we have all 7 members here, so we're all here. Additions and deletions to the agenda. We do have one change we'd like to make. We want to move 2024 Appeal 01 to the first item ahead of the 2024 Variance 01. Everybody, so with that change, or any other changes? If not, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion, second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next item, approval of the minutes from the April 16th meeting. You've seen they're in our packet here. Anybody have any issues? And if not, I would ask for a motion to approve.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item number, well, let me go ahead before I do that. I'm going to do the chairman's speech so everybody knows what we're here for. And tonight we're here for a lot of stuff, so I get this. This might take about an hour, so everybody relax. So I'm just kidding. My name is Darian Green. I'm the chairman of the Union County Land Use Board. Also sitting on the board today is our vice chairman, Rick Davis, Mr. Larry Britt, Dion Edwards, Doug McClue, Mark Chili, and Francis Ward. We also have present with us tonight Mr. Lee Jensen, who is the Planning and Zoning Director for Union County, Mr. Jim King, the Senior Planner. We do not have Bjorn Hansen, who is apparently riding a, what's that thing? Kangaroo down there somewhere. We have Janet Wolf, who's a planner, Amy Griffin, who is the clerk to our board, and Kelly Cope, who's the board attorney. We have 3 different types of hearings that we have here. First type is an application for variance from regulations in the zoning ordinance, which we will be hearing one of those tonight. We also have an appeal from a decision or interpretation of the zoning administrator, which we have one of those. And we also have an application, we don't have tonight, an application for special use permit. And the board also, I don't know if it's over here, I haven't read my speech in a long time, but our board also functions in other ways, but I'll get to that. The board is a formal quasi-judicial board that operates under the rules and procedures set forth by applicable law in a fashion similar to a court of law. The board will conduct a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing. The board will hear and consider evidence presented at the hearing and apply to the standards set forth by the state law and the Union County Development Ordinance. The board will make a decision based upon competent, substantial, and material evidence presented at the hearing. The order of each case will be as follows. All parties who plan to give testimony, pro or con, must complete the green form, which is located up here, to speak, and they will be sworn in. A planning staff member will explain why a permit was denied or why a variance is requested or the nature of a special use permit application. The board may question the planning staff member. The applicant may question the planning staff member, and then the applicant presents their testimony for the case. The board may question the applicant. The planning staff member and all persons in opposition may question the applicant. The applicant may present sworn witnesses. They will be subject to cross-examination. Other parties wishing to speak, pro or con, will be given reasonable time to present sworn testimony. They will be subject to cross-examination. The planning staff member and the applicant will be given an opportunity for rebuttal. After the hearing the case, the board will review the case and render a decision. This is usually done following the close of the evidentiary hearing and the board deliberations. However, the board may elect to take up to 30 days to render a decision. You may also you may remain present during our deliberations, or you may call the Union County Planning Department after the session to receive the decision of the board. All exhibits must remain with the board. Please hand them first to the clerk for tagging. If you feel there's a conflict of interest of any board member or association that would prejudice your case, please let it be known at the start of your case. This meeting is open to the public, but participation is limited. Parties have the right to fully participate in the hearing and may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Witnesses may testify as to facts in which they are competent to testify. Lay or non-expert testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. It's very important. Competent evidence shall not be deemed to include the opinion testimony of a lay witness as to certain topics, including projected impacts on property values and projected impacts on traffic safety. The board can accept only sworn testimony. No hearsay evidence is admissible. Appeal from this board is to the Union County Superior Court. You have 30 days from the date of the board's written decision in which to appeal in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 160D-1402. Would remind everyone, if your cell phone is on, please turn it off. We also require a quorum of at least 4 members, but all 7 are here, so we're good. And so, with that being said, I will move on. I will say this also, this pertains, what I just read pertains more to our Board of Adjustment role, but we also tonight have a case before us that is a rezoning petition. It's a little different. We don't take sworn testimony for rezoning petitions. You present your case, and we will make a decision, which our decision on that is will be forwarded to the county commissioners, who ultimately will make the decision whether to either approve or deny that. With that being said, our item number 1 is an appeal, petition number 2024, Appeal 01, 4403 Rolling Wood Lane. This is an appeal, Union County Board of Building Enforcement received a complaint on a camper being set up on the permanent dwelling for Mr. Rector and his family. Inspection was conducted on July 5th, 2023, which the camper was appeared to be permanently set up as if lived in. And so I won't read all that, but at this time, I believe that the person appealing this would like to potentially request a continuance. So if they could just come forward, whoever's representing, if there's an attorney. There you are, sir.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Bennett. I am the attorney representing the Rectors. They're requesting a 60-day continuance, and the reason for that is there is a House bill currently in the short session of the Assembly that, if it's passed, would rectify this entire issue.
Okay.
That is House Bill 466, and so we're hopeful that this takes care of itself.
Okay, we like it when the state takes care of stuff for us.
So, Board, in this matter, since it's an appeal, the county is represented by an attorney as well. Mr. Christopher Brown is here on behalf of the county.
Okay.
So if he can come forward.
Yes, sir, please do
I'd
if
like
you
to
have
ask him any
anything to
questions
state.
regarding the continuance.
If you want us to do it, or if you don't. I don't think they have to be their lawyers. They don't have to be sworn in.
The county is not opposed to
County's not
continuing.
opposed. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, well, this, then I would ask if there's a motion to continue this until, I guess that would be the July, I can't believe we're saying July. 60 days would be July meeting. Okay, Is there a motion?
Make a motion to continue.
And there's a second.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, sir. You may leave. I think you're probably here for another case, but you may leave. Or anybody can leave. I mean, you don't have to stay.
I guess I could leave.
Mr. Tilley told me he wants to stay here till 10 o'clock tonight, so y'all.
Don't believe everything he says.
I get paid for other work, so
All right, the next item would be a variance, which is, I gotta find where I'm at, because we switched them around here. So I got item one, and I got item ones and items twos, and this is variance petition number 2024, which is located 3412 Gold Mine Road. The applicant is ATI Specialty Materials LLC, requesting a variance to eliminate 1,987 linear feet of sidewalk requirement on the property located at 3412 Gold Mine Road, more specifically identified by Union County as tax parcel number 04168002G. The sidewalk requirement can be found in the Union County Development Ordinance, Section 60-110, Public and Private Street Sidewalks. This variance is being requested as a protection to the endangered plant species, and I'm not even gonna try to say, but it's some kind of a sunflower, swine, something. Do anybody know how to say that? Swinson? Anyway, presently on the property and in close proximity to a portion of the proposed sidewalk location. All right, let me see where I'm at now. I will call the staff member.
Janet Wolf.
Janet's going to be our staff member. All right, you swear? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter at hand?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll allow you to now tell us what you want to do.
I'm sorry?
The variance is complete, so I'm sure. So you can.
Yes,
present evidence.
this is complete.
All right, talk
The
to us.
application. I'm Janet Wolf. I'm planner with Union County, and I'm here to present the 2024 variance 01. It's the ATI Specialty Material LLC variance request, and the agent is Stephen Bennett with Arnold Son Law, and it's May 21st, 2024. I just handed Amy two exhibits, one being the Union County Development Ordinance, the other agenda for May 21st, 2024, to add as evidence. The owner of the property is the owner and property information. The property is located at 3412 Gold Mine Road, and more specifically identified as parcel number 09372-003C. The applicant owner is ATI Specialty LLC. The agent is Stephen Bennett with Arnold Smith Law. The property is zoned HI Heavy Industrial and Light Industrial, which is also known as LI. The variance request, the applicant ATI Specialty LLC are requesting a variance from the Union County Development Ordinance, Section 60.110-C.2B and 60.110-C.3. The first one being install any required sidewalk or multi-use paths as identified in the comprehensive transportation plan. The second one being right-of-way dedication and sidewalk installations must extend the full length of the street frontage of the property under development and must conform to the standards of the ordinance. The applicant is seeking relief of 1,987 linear feet of sidewalk required at the parcel front to protect the Schwein sunflowers. I'm sorry. I also wanted to bring up that the Union County Development Ordinance, Article 75, sunflower protection, actually pertains to lots in residential areas, 50 lots or more. But it also gives you a great example of what these sunflowers are. In the first part of the section, it talks about 75010 is the purpose. The sunflowers is a perennial aster that may stand as tall as 10 feet and support 100 or more 2-inch flowers. The plant includes yellow raised disc flowers that appears in late August through October. The picture is of the sunflower. The sunflower has occurred historically in the Piedmont prairies in the Charlotte geographical belt of North and South Carolina. There's only 90 populations that are presently known, and all of them occur within 50 miles of Union County, North Carolina. The sunflower has been identified in the endangered species by the state and federal agency, therefore protection of the sunflowers is highly priority. The area of the site we're seeing here is the ATI, and you can see the outside layer of the parcel. They developed it over on the right-hand side, and I'm going to show you in a little bit. The sunflowers are located here. The first part that we're talking about is 60-110C2B. It talks about the transportation plan and that it requires sidewalks to be identified as the plan shows. This dotted orange line actually shows where the sidewalks are supposed to be. It does vary from what we show here because the road has been moved slightly to the south. But that is the transportation plan. The linear square footage that we're looking at are actually in red, and it's along the street down here, which is all the way down, and then you see the turn in the road there. And that's the frontage of the property. Again, the sunflowers are in here, and I'm going to show you on the next slide the location. NCDOT kind of monitors sunflowers in the area, and they do have this marked as the sunflower location, which is located on the area. And if you look real closely, you can see the outside shape of the ATI property. The United States Department of Interiors, which is Fish and Wildlife Services, sent a letter actually supporting it. And in the first paragraph of the letter, they talk about the Endangered Species Act of 1973 as amended in 16 U.S.C. 1531, 1543 Act. In the second half of the letter, they talk about the construction of the sidewalk adjacent to the population may result in adverse effects from a variety of sources, including pedestrian traffic, trampling, construction and maintenance impact, and other instances of negative impacts from the added development. And in the third paragraph, they reiterate that they give their support for the variance requested related to the proposed sidewalk that would lead to a minimized potential impact of the species.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Does the Fish and Wildlife support this variance, does it override the county's?
No.
So basically, it does not override, so, okay. I just want to make sure that even though they're recommending it, is that they can't say that y'all can't do that. So the county's ordinances pertain over that. Okay, thank you.
The existing conditions, this, and the sign's not a really good picture up there, but that is a do not mow sign, and it actually shows the sunflowers going down. This view is west, so it's looking towards the airport, Monroe Airport. If you turn the other direction, come at the other end of the sunflowers, there's a do not mow sign there with all the sunflowers, and this is looking towards Rocky River Road. The sunflowers do not go in bloom until the end of August through October, so you're not gonna see any flowers till then.
Another question. It looks like that has been mowed. I mean, if it
It's
hadn't
here.
been mowed, would it not be grown up?
It's
Side
here.
of the road there? Or you
It's
talking
not right
about
next to the road,
fence line?
it's between
You're
here.
talking,
You're talking about the fence line, not the side of the
fence
road.
line's not been.
From the fence line over to the poles, that's where the sunflowers are.
Okay.
Okay, clarify where the sidewalk would be. If it's supposed to go, would it be beside the road, or would it be beside the post, on the telephone poles?
Well, it'd be between the fence and the road, or they'd have to tear the fence down.
I'd have to ask Jim on that, I don't know.
Well, Mr.
You want
King,
to-
you'd have to be sworn to do that, no.
I'm kind of
If you don't
confused on
mind.
this, as to where it's happening.
All right, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to this matter? Thank you, sir. Go ahead. If you could come up to the microphone, you know how this works. I'm sorry.
And the only reason I'm asking
I understand.
is the sidewalk is normally right beside the road. Is that
Yeah.
correct on the
I always thought it was
sidewalks?
5
Yeah,
feet.
so,
So typically, the sidewalk is to fall within the right-of-way, the state maintained right-of-way. We will work with the state on where they actually want it and stuff of that nature. If for any reason there is any planting requirements, the state will not maintain any plant material. So like street trees and stuff of that nature will have to be planted outside of the right-of-way.
Okay,
what-
so
well, now, my question would be, just looking at these pictures,
Mm-hmm.
if the sidewalk is it gonna be on the road side of those power line poles, or is it gonna be on the fence side? Or are the power lines gonna be moved, is my question. Do you know the answer to that? Because I don't, I'm just asking, I mean, we have a map here, is it, didn't we have a map of where it was gonna go, or am I thinking about something?
Yes, there is a
So I'm
slide in
wondering
there
if they're
that
moving these
shows-
power lines, or they're not moving them, or can we tell that on the thing, or not?
Keep on going back.
I think, I see a map here, but it's so small, I really can't, that's the map I'm talking about. Where is the sidewalk?
Let's see, so the sidewalk is this black line you see right here.
Okay, do we see the power lines? Because it looks like most of these sunflowers are behind the power lines. I'm just trying to clarify where we're at here.
Tell you what, can you get out of this so we can
Can you wait a,
just totally get out of it?
bring that in a little closer or something, or? I don't know. I can't see it on mine.
I couldn't see it.
You can't see it on
I'll
this
get
map
to
I
the
got.
slide so we can understand it. So I just spoke with Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett explained to me, there you go, that the sidewalk
There
is
you go. Thank
roughly
you.
about 5 foot off the road, and it will be 5 foot wide.
That's the sidewalk.
That's sidewalk.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where the power lines are gonna be.
Well, you can see that this right here is the fence.
That's the fence. Okay, so there's nothing on here saying they're moving the power lines, right?
That is correct. There's nothing on
So
here.
it looks
just-
to me like the sidewalk, so where's the sidewalk? I see the fence, where's the sidewalk? Is that the, this is so hard to read, because so it starts delineating, because I can't,
Scroll in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it when you go in anymore, because I can't even understand it now.
Yeah, it's in, they're in right here.
Looking at the
The
picture,
power lines is,
it
looks like
looks
this.
like the
It
moat
actually goes beyond between
portion
the
is
two.
between the road and the power
Power
line.
lines, yeah, that's why I'm
And then
confused.
Looking at
the
this diagram-
Sunflowers are between the power line and the fence.
Okay, Mr. King, what'd you say?
Yeah, we're looking right here. If you go further down, you can see the power lines right here.
Okay,
So it looks like what they've got is the sidewalk just on the back side of those power lines.
that's the sidewalk or the fence?
The fence is going to be the broken line
With X's.
right here with the X's in it.
The sidewalk wouldn't be inside the fence, would it?
I'm still confused. So,
Why don't you go back to that picture that broke down the here anyway?
Yeah,
well, that's the thing, that a picture don't really tell me where the sidewalk's gonna be.
yeah. Can
I
you,
got the little dotted line with, it's got dots, and that's the fence, right?
mm-hmm.
And then if you look at that road right there, or driveway, is that dark black area, what is that? Is
That's
that
the proposed sidewalk.
Okay, so it's on this side of the fence. Where's the power line?
Power lines are, looks like they're right here on the opposing side of the sidewalk. So it's
Okay.
like you got the power lines, sidewalk, fence.
Okay. I understand.
Another distance between the road and the power lines.
Okay, but
I don't
go
have
back
that.
to the picture.
Go back to the
Yes,
picture.
sir. Oops. You want just the picture of the,
The road,
That right
Okay,
there.
yeah.
there's no way,
There's no way.
it's gonna be sidewalk, then power line, and then fence. The sidewalk is gonna be next to the road, not between the power line and the fence.
Can't see how it could be between the power line and the
There ain't
fence.
no way it
There's
can
no
be.
way.
There's not enough room.
And the thing that's bothered me,
Power line has to be moved.
just well, the thing that's bothered me is the no mowing signs, but that has been mowed. So that has already destroyed the sunflowers, has it not, in that area?
Everything to that light pole has been, yeah.
But no, what they're saying though is, the sunflowers is them high things right there between the light pole and the fence. They're all the way over against the fence is where the sunflowers are.
can I hit Stephen?
No,
Yep,
not
go
yet.
through?
Let-
Okay,
you-
sorry.
He'll have his opportunity. I guess we're just asking you stuff, and then if you can't answer it, that's fine, and we'll let him in. If he knows the answer, that'd be great, but I guess
They can put
just tell me
no-
you don't know, that's fine.
Yeah,
But
they can put no mowing signs, but they can't control when somebody comes through and mows.
Right.
Even if they hit it, I don't know
Oh, right,
how,
sure,
if the
sure.
roots are still good, if they will come back.
Sure, okay.
So, and the next question would be, based on the map, it looks to me like we got a distance here between one power pole, maybe another one, and a little beyond, right? It's just that where these are, they're not the whole length, they're just that little section, right?
Yeah, we just took the section there.
Gotcha, but they're not the whole length of that fence. Well, clearly not, because they've been mowing. If they are, then they already messed up, somebody did. So it's just the distance between, I mean, that's,
It's basically behind the do not mow sign.
yeah, and it's like for two light poles.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay, just keep going. If anybody, any got a question?
Well, are the sunflowers between the power line and the fence?
Based on this picture, we have to believe that's where they are.
That's
Either
what it
that or
looked
they've
like.
already been mowed
They're
down
the ones that
one.
are growed up and hadn't been mowed.
Hadn't been
So
mowed.
there's more than enough room for a sidewalk between the power pole and the road.
Now, I've never seen a sidewalk that doesn't start at the edge of the road.
Well, I mean, I've seen some a little over, but either,
We're all on the same pattern.
yeah, well, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, they can
Right.
address it when they get
Yeah,
to it
absolutely.
with the maps.
You keep presenting your case. I guess we just saw some things that look weird.
That's okay.
So, and we trust your judgment, ma'am. Go ahead.
This is showing the municipalities, which is, the purple is City of Monroe.
Right,
Everything in white is gonna be county.
yes.
This is telling you the land use plan, which all in blue is gonna be the employment center. And again, the municipality is in gray. Development status shows you the IETI building. It get into the City of Monroe here, which is an industrial park here, and these are also industrial or business. And then as we pull out farther, you can see that it's still HI, which is heavy and light industrial. And then you have a little bit of RA20 down here, which is residential agricultural, 20,000 square feet.
Yep.
Environmental features, you're looking at, on Gold Mine Road, they have a little bit of a creek on each corner. Well, one in the center here, one on the corner. No flood area. The sunflowers are in this area here. I don't know exactly without pulling the map out there. You do have a little bit of wetland outside of the area, which is not part of ATI at all.
But in front of the building, from that building that we see in that picture, straight to the road, there's no sunflowers there, correct?
No,
Okay.
nope. Transportation, you're looking at 4,600 on Gold Mine. And in the case of a variance request, staff does not list any recommendations, since a variance is a request of relief from the requirements of the development ordinance. Whereas in a special use permit, staff will offer suggestions to recommendations that are in addition to and may exceed the requirements of the development ordinance in order to mitigate adverse issues. Do you want me to back up pictures, or?
Any further questions for, okay, all right. Yes,
Norm, the amount of frontage that they have on Gold Mine is how many feet?
1,980?
No, I thought the 1,900 was just where the flowers were.
No, that's the whole front of the property.
1,900.
Yes, so that people aren't walking down and
So the
trampling through
variance is for,
the whole front.
But now what is the actual length of where the flowers are, the sunflowers?
I do not have that.
okay, we'll ask them. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Board.
All right, this time, those who would like to speak in favor, if you could come forward. I know Mr. Bennett. Ms. Cope, you've been, you're relatively new to us, and I've had multiple, well, most of our lawyers say that lawyers don't have to be sworn. What's your position on this?
No, I do not believe they need to be sworn
Okay,
unless
well,
Mr.
that
Bennett's
would-
offering
So
testimony
Mr. Bennett
himself.
does not have to be sworn?
Unless
No,
he's
but-
offering.
But at the same time, do I get a chance to ask her questions as well?
Yes,
Okay,
So does he need
and
to
you
be
can do, I
sworn?
mean, you technically should do that right now if you have,
I do.
Well, do you need to be sworn? Does he need to be sworn? That's all I'm asking.
not unless you intend to offer evidence yourself.
That's
If-
correct. I don't. I just had a couple follow-up questions first.
Okay, you can do that. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Cope, and please let me know if I'm straight. That's been an issue in the past, and I didn't want to, you know. I know he swore his life away when he became a lawyer, so. All right, sir, Mr. Bennett, you had some questions for Ms. Wolf.
Ms. Wolf, do you have a copy of our application you could bring up?
Yes.
And the reason I'm asking you this question is in your review of our application, the sunflower was not the only reason we're asking for a variance, correct?
I believe it was the sunflower you're asking for.
Well, and we also asked for several other reasons in our application, correct? One of which would be that there are no sidewalks anywhere close to the property, correct?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. And then, as well as having a gap in the middle of the sidewalk for the sunflower would leave certain portions leading to the airport with no access, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I just want to be clear for the board
Yep,
and
yep.
for you, that there are
Good.
multiple reasons we're asking for a variance, not just flower.
Okay.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Who?
The
I'm
lawyer.
not testifying, you can, I'm not testifying, but I'll try.
Okay,
Well, do you have someone here to testify?
I do.
Oh,
okay, we'll wait.
we'll wait
I
till you
haven't gotten
bring
to
them
that
up.
part yet.
Let's bring them up and then we'll.
That's
let
all I
you-
have for you.
Okay.
Okay. All right, those who would like to present evidence in support of this, if they would please come forward. And that's already been entered into evidence, the entire packet, which included the application. So anyone who wants to present evidence in favor, or Mr. Bennett, all of your people, please bring them up. If there's 1, 2, 5, or 10, let's bring them up and we will swear them in.
Just one, sir.
Okay. You have to present your name as soon as you finish, but do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth in regard to this case?
Yes.
All right, and please present your name, and if you haven't filled out the green piece of paper, you can do that for us.
I filled it out.
Okay,
My name is Irvin Hyde. I'm an engineer with ATI.
okay.
All right. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please.
Irvin, I think you've already done this, but state your name for the record, please.
Irvin Hyde,
And you're employed at ATI,
that's
correct?
correct.
Tell us what ATI does.
We are a global producer of specialty materials and solutions for aerospace, defense, and other specialty markets.
Okay. And you're employed here in Monroe, correct?
That's correct.
All right. You're an engineer?
Yep,
All right, and you're licensed as an engineer, correct?
correct.
All right. And in your employment there, you're knowledgeable about the project at 3412 Gold Mine Road, correct?
Yes,
All right. To be clear, that's parcel 093720003C, correct?
correct.
All right. And you have, ATI has filed the variance request in this, for this parcel, the entire parcel, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, before we jump into the actual application, we've got here your site plan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tell the board, what are we
Excuse me a
looking at?
minute. Got one question.
Yes, sir.
What is your engineering degree in?
Mechanical engineering.
Okay.
Tell the board what we're looking at. What is this building? What does it do?
So this building is basically expansion of another one of our facilities on the Baker's campus. We put this in to give us more capacity for our forging operations.
Okay. And where is the access point for this building?
Access for this building is off Airpoint off Rocky River Road.
Okay. And importantly, the main access for this building is not off of Gold Mine Road, correct?
That is correct.
All right.
Gold Mine is the back of the building.
Okay. Is there parking at this facility?
Yes, on the north side of the building.
Okay. And that would be.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
You're going through what the plant's doing, but that's not what we're talking about. We're here to talk about the sidewalk. And I just wondering where you're leading with asking him what the plant does, where the parking is, when we're talking about the sidewalk on Gold Mine Road protecting the sunflowers.
That's correct. And again, I would also note that our application is not just about the sunflowers. It's about several different things, one of which is that this plant does not have its access on Gold Mine Road. So we're asking for a sidewalk to front the building when it doesn't really front the building, is my point. And that's essentially
Okay,
where.
I was just curious where you're going with it.
Absolutely.
Sure.
There's a method to the madness.
Okay.
I promise. So, yeah, normally a jury doesn't tell me to hurry up, but I'm trying. So, okay. All right. Bear with me a second. Does anyone access the building off of Gold Mine Road?
No, that was a construction entrance during the construction of the project. All accesses come through the Airpoint entrance off of Rocky River.
Okay. In this current project that you have depicted on the site plan, that is not developing the entire parcel, correct?
No, just the eastern portion.
Okay. Building's obviously out there, it's built, correct? All right. And you guys have a chain link fence sort of close to the road, is that fair?
That is correct.
Okay. when you submitted this plan, when you were getting permits, on it, you showed this kind of darkish line that represented a sidewalk in front of the building, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And that, and I think we looked at this earlier, folks. That part depicted on the site plan is about 1,210 linear feet, correct?
that is correct.
All right, and that's the part in front of the building itself.
Yes,
Okay. And just out of curiosity, obviously the sidewalk's not there, yes?
that's correct.
Okay.
It's not
What is the projected cost to put that sidewalk there?
there. About $130,000.
Okay. All right. Now, if ATI came back in the future to develop the western side of the property, would there be a sidewalk requirement for the western portion of the property?
Yes, whenever we develop the western portion of the property, we will have to extend the sidewalk.
All right. And so you're not building out there now, but the reason you're submitting the variance request for the entire parcel is to see if we can deal with the issue all at once, right now, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And so let's talk about the variance request for Mr. Davis. Tell
Okay,
us.
before we start with that, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the variance petition where the summary of request is,
Yes, sir.
and all it says here is the deal with the sunflowers. Where is the request that you made in the, I don't have a copy of that. All I've got here is a copy of the sunflowers. Have I missed it somewhere?
Well,
It should be under item,
yeah, if you go over here, under the findings of facts, they've listed a bunch of things that, you know, not a playground and all that stuff. I don't know what page it's on, but, I'm sorry, page 16.
But that's not really
Well,
the application.
Well, I don't know what that is, but.
I'm just looking at the application, and it's,
Well,
the
it's-
only thing it says is the sunflower, so.
Right, so further in the application where you have to explain all your rationale and your factual, evidence to support those 5 things that you guys have to find as to grant variance, that's where that stuff is.
But that's not part of what the request is, though. That's the findings of facts.
Okay, well, that's my,
Okay.
Okay. Then-
I just want to clarify something I just said. So there's potential for future expansion here. Is that what you testified to?
Yes,
And so the future expansion would potentially face Gold Mine Road?
so we will further, if we were to further develop this property, we will still have the entrance from our Baker South. That's how we control security on that whole parcel.
I believe you did say that it would might require a sidewalk, right? Am I correct?
With the current standards, we will have to put a sidewalk, we'll have to
Right.
extend the sidewalk.
And,
if we
and
develop.
so what you're saying is, it'd be nice, I believe the attorney, even though he's not testifying, said something along the lines of, and we could bring that back, that this would tie it all together and fix it right now, right? Is that what you said, Mr. Bennett?
yeah, that's correct. The theory behind the application for the entire parcel is that, in 5 years, if they wanted, when they develop the rest of that property, to not.
We wouldn't have to deal with this issue at that point in time.
100%.
Okay.
It's for efficiency. We're just trying to deal with it now.
Gotcha. All right, carry on, I'm sorry.
I would say this in regards to the comments of the application itself. I'm more than happy to amend that again. I think we're entitled to present additional evidence. I don't think I'm bound just by the sunflower.
Oh, absolutely not. No, you can present all the evidence you want to present.
I want to make sure
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
we're on the
Present.
same page about that. So,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Feel free to present whatever. That's great.
okay, all right. Leaning towards the variance request itself, in a nutshell, tell the board why ATI is seeking a variance.
For several reasons, outside of cost alone. We have no access from our property to Gold Mine because since everything from our property flows north, we don't have any access. So none of our employees would be walking along Gold Mine. We don't have a gate that you can get out of there or anything. The other reason for that is it's industrial. All that area around there being industrial. So could be some safety concerns walking around there. There's no sidewalks anywhere else. There's no access to the sidewalk. Even if you put a sidewalk there, you have no way of actually getting to the sidewalk, unless you illegally park at the airport. Or, so there's no access to the sidewalk. We don't have any We have the sunflower there that we would like to continue to protect, and we don't use that, we don't access
Okay,
from Gold Mine Road.
all right. I'm going to show you what I have marked as map 1,
Mm-hmm.
and this is representative of the ATI parcel, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and this parcel is about 125 acres in size, right?
Yes,
All right. This is a large industrial site, is that correct?
yes,
And here we see that it's backing up to the Monroe Airport, is that correct?
that is correct.
And this is not a public entrance to the airport back here, correct? There's no parking there, correct?
That's correct.
There's no place for anybody to get out of their car and walk on a sidewalk, correct?
No.
There's no place for someone walking down a sidewalk to get to the airport, correct?
Correct.
All right. Additionally, there are some wetlands present on the western side of the property as well, correct?
That's correct, yes.
All right, and then, as we've noted before, midway through, this is where we have the endangered sunflower, correct?
Correct.
All right. And one of the reasons we're seeking the variance is because of the sunflower, yes?
Yes,
All right. And that is the Schweinitz's sunflower, correct?
correct.
All right. Tell us about the sunflower, Irvin.
As you heard earlier, is a sunflower kind of found along roadways in North Carolina, particularly in this region of the state.
And how did you guys discover it out there?
We noticed the do not mow signs, contacted DOT, and also spoke with U.S. Wildlife.
I do want to be clear on this point. You guys didn't mow any sunflowers down?
No.
All right. And in terms of their location, that's about midway down the property line,
That's
correct?
correct.
All right. They would be right at the edge of what we had shown as this dark line on depicting the sidewalk. They're
Yeah, it's a little-
right about there,
Yeah, a
correct?
little bit west of where the sidewalk
Okay.
shows the kind of walks currently.
Would it be a lot of trouble if you went back to the picture you had up previously and take your mouse and show us where's that?
Absolutely.
Right there?
Let me zoom in a little bit. This is not like my mouse, bear with me, please. All right. They're right about where the little hand is, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. You guys see that?
That's where the sidewalk will terminate.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this question. If you had to carve out a section of the sidewalk for the sunflower, you would end up with a section of sidewalk on the eastern side and a section of sidewalk on the western side, correct?
Yes.
All right. To be clear, I think we've covered this. There's no real way to access a sidewalk on the western side other than walking through the sunflowers. Is that fair?
That is correct.
You guys did receive a letter from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, correct?
Yes.
All right. And, well, obviously not binding, they do suggest that construction of a sidewalk adjacent to the sunflower could have adverse effects on the sunflower itself, right?
That is correct.
And it's not limited to just that. It could be future trampling by pedestrians, correct?
Yes.
As well as damage from construction and maintenance of said sidewalk, correct?
Correct.
Right. And to your knowledge, U.S. Fish and Wildlife supports the variance request, correct?
That is correct.
Right. Let me ask you this. As a company, to your knowledge, what is ATI's stance on the preservation of endangered species?
We definitely promote trying to do what we can to conserve the endangered species. I mean, if we get rid of them, they're endangered for a reason, so
Yeah.
we understand that.
Okay. Is it fair to say endangered species remain endangered if they aren't allowed to grow and expand?
Yes, that's fair.
Okay. Take you back to map 1 here, and this is just to orient everyone. From before, this is the backside of the airport, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to move on to what we have is map 2. I want you to focus on what's east of the property. There's a residential zone tract right next door, correct?
That is correct.
All right.
Right on the corner.
All right. And then we have an industrial park that backs up to ATI
That's correct.
here. Okay. And there's some farmland out here, correct?
Correct.
And a little corner commercial site.
That's correct.
All right. Are there any sidewalks on any of these parcels?
No, sir.
Okay. Are there any sidewalks within the industrial park itself?
No, sir.
All right. Is there any sidewalk coming up Rocky River to the industrial park?
No.
And going up a little further, this is Union Power up here at the top, is it not?
That's, yes.
Okay. Any sidewalks up there?
No.
me show you what map, okay, is map 3. And so we have Union Power, and up here, finally, this is ATI's entrance, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Any sidewalks there?
No.
All right. And this is what I have as map 4. This is directly across the street from the ATI parcel. Is that a future industrial park for Union County?
I just know it's shown as future industrial
Okay.
zone.
All right. It's not developed right now, right?
No.
All right, no sidewalks there yet, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And here's one point. Does the parcel across the street also have that sunflower?
Yes, it is present on both sides of the road.
Okay. Both sides of the road along Gold Mine, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And we see this little parcel kind of tucked back here. What is that?
That's the, I think it's the Union County Bus Depot.
Okay. For school buses, right?
Correct.
Okay, and that's owned by Union County, right?
Yes.
Any sidewalks along that parcel?
No.
Okay. Are there any residential subdivisions adjacent to your property?
No.
Are there any parks adjacent to your property?
No.
Are there any large commercial developments adjacent to your property?
No.
Any places that pedestrians would frequent?
No.
Are there any schools adjacent to your property?
No.
Okay. All right. Obviously, there's no sidewalks adjacent to the ATI property, but let's talk a little bit about where the closest sidewalk is. So let's say we're going east on Gold Mine, on your side of the road. How far is it to a sidewalk?
Almost 3 miles, I believe.
Okay. And let's say going east on the south side, where the bus depot is, how far is the sidewalk from there?
3 miles.
1.1 miles on the south side of the road,
Okay,
correct?
1.1 on the south side?
All
Okay.
right. All right. And let's say we're on Gold Mine going west. How far do we have to go to find a sidewalk?
Probably around a mile.
Okay. Rocky River Elementary School is located south of here, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Does it have sidewalks?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Just to kind of recap, the character of most of the land surrounding the ATI parcel is industrial, correct?
Yes.
All right. In your opinion, sidewalk, would it increase pedestrian traffic to anywhere out there?
No. Just with usually industrial sites, you don't see a lot of foot traffic.
Okay. It wouldn't lead to a park or a school or a neighborhood, correct?
Not as it is identified, no.
Okay. All right. That's all my questions for you, Rick.
All right.
I do have a question, sir.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of cleaning some things up here. Union County Development Ordinance 75-040 offers relocation opportunities for the sunflower. Has that been considered?
Up to this point, no.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to know that question, and go ahead.
I have a question. I don't know which one can answer it. But across the street on Gold Mine,
Okay.
the vacant area, is that a part of the industrial park?
Yes.
It's light industrial up across the
Okay, okay.
It is owned by Union County, and
It is, okay.
No, I'm not talking about the bus garage.
Talking
I'm
about
not talking, I'm
the
talking about
open
the
land.
vacant area. Is that in Union County or Monroe?
In the farmland area.
directly across the street is Union County.
It's-
part of the.
Okay.
park.
Well, how about if you go further down into the industrial park where Monroe, is there more available industrial park that Monroe owns?
I believe there's a little bit around, the transportation, school transportation site. Oh, yes, and then, on the other side of the airport, there's, big parcels.
Okay, so the school transportation site is in the city of Monroe,
That is correct.
and they did not require them to put a sidewalk on Gold Mine.
It was actually, that was the county's jurisdiction when it was originally built, and then the city annexed.
Okay,
But-
but
it's-
regardless,
the front
they were not
portion was in the
required to
county,
put
the
one
back
at that
portion was
time.
in the city. And then the city annexed the portion all the way to Goldmine Road.
You want to swear me in?
I would love to have you come speak to me, sir. I was getting ready to say, Mr. Jensen, it might be time for me to have a conversation with you because you've been around a while and you understand this stuff.
Swear at you.
You swear everything you say is truth, and nothing but the truth related to this matter, sir? All right, Mr. Jensen, if you could go to the microphone, because I have some questions about regarding to, I know that the Union County Land Use Ordinance changes, and I love when people come up and say, well, this don't have it. Well, it might have not been required when this was built. I mean, when my house was built, stuff wasn't required. I'm sure it's required now, or my house wouldn't be flooded right now. But anyway, if you could just share with us a little bit about the sidewalk requirement, that's what I want. You had some stuff too, but the sidewalk requirement, at what point was that brought along and where do we, I mean, is that recent or?
So the school bus garage site was kind of unique in that property it sits back off the road, and the driveway, I believe, is on, or was at one point on an easement. So the bus garage property was in the county when it was built, and I'm thinking it's been annexed at this point.
That's correct.
But the easement went through a portion that was in the city of Monroe. So we couldn't require the sidewalk because that was in their jurisdiction.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, my question is, if the property to the left of that
Yes.
were sold for commercial property, would it be required to have a sidewalk?
The portion that would be in the unincorporated Union County, so that piece that's zoned light industrial that you saw on the presentation, yes.
Okay, if it were in the city of Monroe, would it be?
I do not know.
Because the park has both, and like the gentleman were saying, even down Airport Road there's no sidewalks.
I think that the portion that has been recently developed in the city of Monroe, and I'm not familiar
Well, I
with
know
their
there,
regulations.
Turbo Mecca and the pharmaceutical place, there's sidewalks.
And I think that's what we're talking about on the other side of Airport Road, right?
Yes.
Those are the pieces that have been developed most recently, and they do have sidewalk, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not familiar with what Monroe's zoning ordinance would require. I don't know, I'm assuming Monroe would probably zone this industrial of some sort, but that's all speculative.
All right. Now, my next question to the gentleman that testified. In your testimony, you said something about the west side, that if something happened, that there would have to be a sidewalk put in.
Oh, currently, out of this parcel of land, we've only developed the eastern portion, and so that being said, we were only required to have a sidewalk for the east, to cover that part that was developed. If we were to build something on the western portion of the land, that sidewalk would have to then extend to cover that, the rest of the 800 or so.
Okay, but I guess my question, where is the western side that we're talking about?
What's the access point to the west side? What road does it come off of? I really can't tell on this. Is there another map that maybe showed?
I mean,
I guess
because
I don't know.
if you go toward the airport,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
you've got airport land that you butt up to
Right.
and wetland. So you wouldn't be required to put a sidewalk there because there's not a road, correct?
We're talking along Gold Mine.
Okay. All right, well, just on Gold Mine.
Okay.
You had mentioned something about if something happened, you'd been required for the sidewalk. That's what I'm wanting you to elaborate on.
If we were to build out, right, okay, so the entire parcel that is shown on this map, only the eastern portion of that we built out, developed. If we was to develop the western portion of the parcel, then we will have to extend the sidewalk down Gold Mine to cover that also.
Well, based on the current ordinance, you got extended anyway. without this variance, am I correct? Yeah, but it's gotta be the entire how many feet, the 19?
Our permit was for the part shown in dark black.
Oh, so it's not that other extension?
That is correct.
It's just the dark, well, that confusing me now, because where, now you got me really confused. Where's our little sunflower friends? Because if you're telling me, it looks like to me where you told me they were earlier, or they were.
So, right where the hand shows is where our permit terminates.
Now your permit terminates there, where's the sunflowers?
Just to the left of that, yeah.
Also, so they're not even in where the permits, so sunflowers are not a big deal then, right? 'Cause that's what I'm seeing. Is that correct? If the sunflowers are on this side, we're not touching them with the current sidewalk. Only time that would become an issue is if you build on. And you have to build a building over here, and then you're gonna have to go all the way down with the sidewalk. So the current sidewalk that you have to do based on the current thing ends before the sunflowers start.
Yeah,
Is that what
but-
you're testifying to?
We're also saying that constructing a sidewalk near those flowers could endanger them. in
Okay,
that
my
process.
point is, the sidewalk that you're currently gonna construct will end before the sunflowers are, that's what you point at.
That is correct.
Okay. The only problem's gonna come later down the line, if you construct another building, you might not be able to extend it because of sunflowers.
I would say according to the U.S., the letter we received from the U.S. Wildlife and Fisheries is that building close to that sunflower could endanger the sunflower, and then that
So somebody
also-
could walk past it maybe,
Just
the sidewalk
the-
ends and the road begins. and
That
you
is,
walk-
that's
okay.
part
But
of
at the
it.
same
And the other
time, they
part of
didn't
it is
say it
part of
couldn't
the
be built.
construction process.
Gotcha.
The material used in construction of the sidewalk could also get into the flower and.
Sure, sure.
So that's an issue also.
But at the same time, the wildlife folks didn't say it couldn't be built.
I believe that was what the letter said.
Yes, their recommendation, but it didn't say it.
Right, they were just recommending it not to be built.
Gotcha.
We're not asserting that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is usurping you guys of authority.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
We're not asserting that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife is telling you guys what you can and can't do. It's just a recommendation.
Okay.
So I have a couple of questions, I guess mainly about the ordinance. So does the ordinance pertain to the front of the building, or does that matter, which side of the building?
So what the ordinance says, it's talking about road frontage, it's not talking about building orientation.
So it doesn't matter which way the building is oriented?
What it's saying is if you have a piece of property that's being developed and the CTP makes a recommendation for the sidewalk, then our ordinance requires it at that time.
Okay, I believe that was the point that they brought up, was which way the building was oriented. But also reading over the ordinance, it talks about specific purposes of the sidewalk, and it addresses the cost of it being too high for the public value. So what is the actual purpose for the area that we're talking about here? Does it serve the public as intended?
Well, you know, what the ordinance is looking into is for future development and so that you have connectivity as development occurs. Yes, I mean, if you have an area and it's totally undeveloped, the first parcel goes in there, it's gonna be a sidewalk that goes to nowhere until other developments are developed adjacent to it, and that sidewalk's continued.
But the issue is if further future development comes in, then this sidewalk is not there, then you have no rights to go back and say, hey, now y'all gotta put your sidewalk in. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
But we also don't have control on the adjacent parcels because they're in Monroe's jurisdiction.
Right.
But the whole reason for the ordinance, the reason they were wrote up, Aaron and I both were a part of a lot of these vision programs. I mean, you know, Union County has been notorious to kick cans down the road, and then all of a sudden, the future hits us. That's why they're there, for the future. I mean, that's why we went through all them meetings and studied this and created the ordinances. Because to the biggest, we really don't know what the future of Gold Mine Road is right there. except the future of Union County is more people. That's the only one thing we know for sure right now, that more people are coming here and more people are accessing every single solitary area that this county has. And that's why these ordinances for future growth was instituted.
I have a question. The main access point for this piece of property, when the employees show up to work, where is that? Can somebody please show that?
It's over on the
I
other road.
understand, well, I understand that. Well, is there a sidewalk over there, and why, or did we require, or is there not a road? Where is it coming off of? What
So
is-
that's Rocky River Road going north-south.
I understand that. So you're coming in off of Rocky River to get into this property?
That's correct.
Yes.
But it's a long driveway, it don't, adjacent. Well, is it a driveway or is it a street?
It's a street.
There's a street that leaves Rocky River Road that goes to
Yes, that's Arrow Point.
Arrow Point Street. And who is that in City of Monroe or is that us?
That's in the city of Monroe.
And it doesn't require a sidewalk right now?
I can't answer to that.
Well, is there a sidewalk?
There is a sidewalk along Arrow Point.
So there is a sidewalk.
How about on Rocky River Road in front of your facility?
No, there's no sidewalk.
Okay.
Let's go back down to the picture, drop down to the bottom again.
On this one?
Yes. All right.
Tell me if you want
Maybe
me
it's
to
the one
change.
before that, it showed,
This one?
yeah, I thought I saw a driveway on one just a minute ago going into the new property.
There is a driveway.
There is a
There's a-
driveway
yeah,
going
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So
When it
there
was
is a
being
sidewalk.
built,
secondary
that was a
access.
construction
That
entrance.
was a construction.
Is that just for construction?
Yes.
Okay, then it'll be done away with.
You know, we have a gate there now that the road is locked.
The secondary
Access
access, you know, in the
So-
future.
If I remember right, it's actually a gravel entrance.
Gravel recently been paved. We have that just set there for any future construction that we do. Once we kind of build up the west side, we'll come through there versus bringing them all the way through the property.
Okay, but is it paved now, or does it have plans to be paved?
It is paved, is a short portion of it is paved.
So in other words, in the future growth could make that an entrance. Even if it's unforeseen at this point, it's actually an entrance into the facility if it's ever needed.
It's,
For ATI, for our security
Right.
purposes, we bring everybody through one point.
I get that, but there's the whole reason for the ordinances, is the future.
could you tell me what that little, the little hand right now, to the right of the hand as I'm looking at it, there's like a little concrete looking area or gravel area?
Yes, that's a gravel yard. That's where the construction
Construction?
trailers and
Okay,
stuff
that's,
were placed.
that's
during
what I
the-
figured, that's what there's no, y'all aren't using that right now, it's not, it's not a, part of your construction, your manufacturing stuff, it's just a construction area, or is it?
Right now, we use it, we'll have some, spare equipment might sit up there.
Okay.
It's almost like a lay-down yard.
Okay, going back to the sunflower portion of the whole sidewalk, right now, there's nothing. People can just walk down through there, go where they want to and destroy whatever. If there was a sidewalk there, it'd be a designated area for the people to walk, and it seemed like that'd be less damage to the sunflowers there because it would be a controlled place for them to walk rather than just randomly walking everywhere.
I have not seen anyone walking along that road. It's
Okay,
nowhere to go.
well, let's go another route with this. The partial we're talking about is the one surrounded in the red, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay? That partial surrounded in the red, the only access off of a major road is that entrance right there that you don't use because you come through another partial you own to get to it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, well, let's just say in the future, ATI sold that lot. The only access off of Gold Mine Road has been given a variance for an ordinance that was put in place for that reason.
Is that a question or just?
Well,
It's a
it's a
statement.
question
It's
and a
like more of a
statement.
It's like
The
more of a
bottom line is, that particular partial, the access for that partial is off of Gold Mine Road if you just talk to that partial. Because you own the other partial and you're using that partial, you allow your employees to go through your other partial to get to it. But if you didn't own that partial, its only access would be off of Gold Mine Road. I realize you're looking at me like I'm crazy,
You're not crazy.
but I've been sitting on this board for 20 years, and I've seen all these things that happen, and then all of a sudden, life gives us all changes. And because we ignored a good ordinance that was put into place for a reason, it was put there because there's a reason for it.
Mr. Tilley, I don't think we're suggesting it's a bad ordinance.
The bottom line, you're wanting a variance from an ordinance that was put into place for a reason. And your reasoning behind wanting the variance is because you're accessing that particular piece of property through another piece of property you own.
I think that's one of several
Well,
reasons.
yeah,
yes.
Okay, yeah, there's a
Yeah,
hundred reasons, and there's some
I'm not-
sunflowers down
and
there
the
too.
sunflower thing right now
But if
isn't
the
working for
sunflowers
me.
that have been where the building was built, would we be talking about a sunflower right now?
No. And you're not building a sidewalk where the sunflower is yet. And
Right.
again, that you haven't presented any evidence that you've considered moving it, because clearly you can move it. Even wildlife says you can move it. And I can't imagine that moving it from where we're sitting over there to that would, I read that, is it gonna get less sun? Probably not. There's plenty of reasons why and it's not like we're moving 40 acres here, we're moving a stretch that went from here to here, so it could potentially be moved, is what I'm saying. So sunflower thing, in my opinion, as a member, that's out the window. We can fix, either that or you come back and tell me there's a reason why you can't move it. So that's over. So you're talking about the entrance area, which, I get, you're talking about you're coming off of a different road, but as Mr. Tilley had said, the ordinance is there for a reason, and we can talk about other parcels all day, but tomorrow somebody could come up here and say, in our role as a planning board, we want to build a big development over here. It might not be us, it might be Monroe or whatever, but all this could change, and this open land could end up being big buildings. It could end up being, who knows, it could be apartments. And we're gonna have to have a sidewalk. You gotta have a sidewalk. Well, you didn't make them put a sidewalk. Well, yeah, so I get there's some issues here that we gotta weigh. Because once we make a decision for you, then the next guy comes up. As attorneys say, there's precedence. And so I'm really struggling with this one right now because I'm not really sure. That's my
Let
position.
me throw another frog in the mud puddle.
Okay, well, we got plenty of frogs tonight.
The line on Gold Mine, 2/3 of it is only against Gold Mine. On the property line, the full red property line that goes along Gold Mine
Yeah, it goes beyond.
is the 1930s,
When the road curves, that's where it goes from there to the.
that's where the 1900 ends.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to come up here and talk.
Well, now, I'm sorry
The
again, but
1900 something that you say in here ends where Gold Mine makes the turn away.
Yes.
Okay.
okay, now I'm confused even more then. Because I thought, according to what y'all said earlier, the sidewalk was only gonna be from the top part down to where the sunflower seeds
Just
are.
past the side, the entrance.
I know I'm not supposed to testify. Can I clarify what we're asking, just so everybody's clear?
Mr. Chairman,
you
you're
can-
you're
my
welcome to be
attorney-
sworn if you want to
Okay, how about
present
this?
the
Let me be
facts.
sworn. Okay, that's-
That would be helpful.
Do you swear the evidence you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
In relation to this matter. Thank you, sir, and state your name again.
Stephen Bennett.
Thank you.
Okay. So what happened is when they filed for their permits and submitted their plans to build the building, at that time, the requirement was that they just needed to put a sidewalk in front of the developed portion of the property. At that time, that was 1,210 feet.
Gotcha.
It ends essentially If he's the sunflower, it ends at me, okay? It's there, okay? The argument being that if you're constructing a sidewalk right next to this thing, there are issues. Now, the reason the 1,900 plus feet are relevant is because they do at some point want to develop the western side of the property. Now, when they do that, obviously, then there's issues with a sidewalk in front of the western side of the property. And so the reason for the variance request for all 1,900 plus feet is to essentially try and deal with that issue now versus whenever it is they decide to try and develop the western part. Does that make sense?
So you're going back to saying, even though you just recently said it wasn't the sunflower, now it is the sunflower. That's what
No,
you just
I've
said. You
not-
just said the sunflower is the issue, because if the sunflower
I didn't say the
wasn't.
sunflower was the issue. What I said was.
No, you said there was other issues, but you did say the sunflower was not the only issue.
I'm giving you the
But then you
rele-
just said the sunflower is the issue.
Mr.
Because
Green.
if the sunflower ends, you
If
just
you
said.
could allow me to testify.
Yeah, I
please.
will allow you to
Okay.
testify. I'm just letting you know that you just told us that the issue is the future development, and the sidewalk ends where the sunflowers are,
Mm-hmm.
and you just said that's gonna be a problem. And if we can fix the sunflowers, which I believe we probably could, that takes that issue away, but
That's not what I said, sir.
Yeah, okay.
What
Well,
I was-
we got it on video, but okay.
What I'm trying to give you an example of is the relevant, where the sidewalk is on the initial plans, where that is in relevance to the sunflower, and then if they develop the western side, where that other 800 or so feet is located. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm
Yeah.
using the sunflower as a point of reference, that's all.
Sure, okay.
That's all I'm trying to say.
So in other words, right now, 1,200 and some feet of sidewalk would be required to be built
Yes.
with what you've got.
Correct.
Then, if you developed the other western side of your piece of property, then there would be a required sidewalk in front of that.
That's correct. They would have to extend
And then-
it. You see where Gold Mine kind of curves down?
Yes, I got you. It'd just be to the road frontage, not the other part that goes toward the airport. The little dirt road. It wouldn't have to be on it. But then my question is, basically the only skip that would be, if we were gonna discuss the sunflowers, is that little spot where the sunflowers are right now, which in your estimate is how many feet?
Would you say about 800, wasn't it?
No, it ain't.
No, it's not.
Nowhere near that.
I wish it was.
Right, I bet you do. It ain't nowhere near that. I mean, it's a very short period of spot. It's.
Right, it might
it's
be,
easily
looking from the
remediated.
picture, we're
That's why-
talking 75 to 100 feet at the most, correct?
That's along the, I would probably say that's correct along the road. I don't.
Well, I mean, that's the only part we care about, so what's along the road.
We're all wound up on assuming that the sidewalk's just one giant straight thing. If you go down Stevens Mill Road, you see where they've gone around some giant trees and they've moved over and gone around. Well, hello? Why can't that happen?
Okay, but really and truly though, now really and truly, if the whole sidewalk, the 1,927 feet would end right there before you get to that little gravel road that goes off of Gold Mine.
Correct.
Because you're not required to put a sidewalk
Past that.
around non,
That's correct.
That's,
Yeah,
that's where the
I
old
got
gold
you.
mine was, is that, am I right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's the old gold mine for the extended runway, yeah. It kind of, yeah, okay.
I have a question for maybe Jim or somebody in staff. So this property now, is there any ability to build residential on this?
The only way to do that is you'd have to rezone it, and our comprehensive land use plan would not support that.
So any variance that we give to this property to have no sidewalk would never carry through to a residential development because they'd have to rezone the whole thing? Or would that stick with that property no matter what the usage is?
Yeah, it would stick with the property.
So even if this was, they applied to say rezone, okay, now UTI sold it to somebody, want to put, 100 houses up there, they would still not have to have automatically, without any further ado with the board, they would not have to put a sidewalk.
Yeah, because the variance would run with the land.
Okay.
I don't have any further questions. I just would say under findings of fact that you've presented part of your, application under number 2. One thing you pointed out was the proposed sidewalk would require the destruction of endangered plant species present on the property, which is the name of the sunflowers there, and I'm not gonna try to say it, and the proposed location of the sidewalk. Well, I'm confused because I feel like we're talking about different things here, because I understood that we were talking about 1,987 foot of sidewalk. Are you asking for a variance for the entire thing? Or are you asking for a variance for the, what you've got to build based on the current property use?
We like a variance for the 1,900.
Okay.
You know,
But you're not gonna, you wouldn't be, you would not be required to build a sidewalk for the whole 1,900, am I correct?
not until they develop the western
So,
side.
okay, I just want to clarify that because, okay, thanks.
So the price that you quoted was for the 1,900, not the 1,200.
Just the 1,200.
Yes, the 1,200, sir.
So the price you quoted was for the 1,200.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
it would be more to build it the whole way. Yes.
Do you have a copy of that proposal?
No, sir, that's why I had the engineer testify.
Well,
So-
but my question is, do you have I'm sorry. Do you have a cost analysis or anything you can present in evidence that that's what the cost is, or, I mean, I'm not questioning, I'm just saying is that,
Irvin ran the project, that's why I had him.
Yeah, I
here
don't
to
have that
testify.
with me today.
Okay.
but we
that was,
do have that
you're,
information.
based on your understanding, it was gonna be about, how much did you say for the
About
12?
100 and- It's like right up around 130,000.
130,000, that was for the 1,200 and something?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
Gotcha.
Right, but really and truly, our attorney, please, it don't matter what it costs, that don't affect what the ordinance says,
No,
correct?
that's true. I'm just trying to understand the distance of,
Oh, yeah, I understand
I
that, yeah,
understand.
but that don't really play into a decision, correct?
All you're looking at are your 5 standards.
yes,
So if-
that's why.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing, well, I do have some side, one thing I don't agree with is the whole 1,900 something feet, when they're only developing required for the 1,200.
Well, they know that, and but they're asking for the 1,900 in advance, I
That's
believe, is what they're
correct, but I
saying, yeah.
don't-
That,
Well,
that's
yeah.
what they're saying, if they did decide to build, they'd already have
Well, I
a
understand what you're
free
saying.
ride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they're not, basically what they're required to do
It's
is the
1,200.
1,200.
Right,
And
which
then-
ends before the sunflowers,
Right.
but the sunflowers are still there.
So, right.
And let me just follow up. Cost can be a factor if you believe that
Well, sure.
goes
That
towards
is
their
under-
hardship.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, that was,
Under,
okay,
I think under our findings of fact, number 1, I think would be result in unnecessary hardship, which I think that's where you would say costs, unless I'm wrong, but it might be.
Mr. Green, could I, 1 second longer, could I?
Oh,
add
yes,
one
sir,
thing?
you got, take your
And-
time, I appreciate it.
Listen, we're not trying to slip anything by anybody or get a free ride. This was done just to try to be efficient, okay? The original application said 1,200 feet.
okay, I maybe I chose bad words for that.
I just wanna be
All I
clear
meant
that-
by that was, if you decided to develop the other, you wouldn't have to come
Then it
back
would-
before us.
And that's all. It would save your time, it would save their time, their money. That's, I'm just a lawyer, I don't know why I'm trying to eliminate a future job for myself, but that was, anyway, that's what I was trying to do. So that's, I think you are free to modify our request in any way you want to. So,
Hey, all right, is there any other questions, or you have anybody got a question for these gentlemen, or do you have any other evidence you need to present?
no more evidence, sir.
Okay, well, I'll let you, in just a second, but I want to let anybody potentially might be here in opposition to come forward. If there's anyone here in opposition to this case, please come forward at this time. Okay, nobody's coming forward, so sir, you're free to, give me your summation for your.
I'm going to be very brief because
Okay.
I think we've beaten this one up enough.
Okay.
I'm not going to touch on the sunflower. The one thing I do want to bring up is the public value to this. Mr. Edwards read that part of the statute, or the ordinance, I should say. And I do kind of question what value does a sidewalk have to the public? And I 100% understand the reason why we have a comprehensive plan, why we have a future land use plan that looks to 2050 and beyond. I understand that part. To that, I would also say this is zoned heavy industrial and it's on the backside of the airport. So, you know, you can't plan for everything in the future, but to me, the likelihood of a park or a school being right there or a residential neighborhood right there is about close to zero. And so what I would argue to you is that all of the factors together, you know, it doesn't connect anywhere, pedestrians aren't going to go anywhere, and the likelihood of anybody going anywhere in the future is minimal. That's not even a public entrance to the airport out there, factored in with the cost, and that's why we think we've established the evidence to support the variance if you guys found it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, are there any other questions anybody needs to ask? If anyone, feel free to please and do now. I'll try to walk through it as we need to, but
We'll do the close open here.
yeah, we'll
Yes,
close.
please close the hearing.
Yeah.
Motion to close the hearing,
Make a motion to close open here.
second. Sorry. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, folks, we have to look at the findings of facts now, and Mr. Bennett, I'm sure, helped present this, and he's give us some findings of fact in his opinion. So we can look through those, and then you can either add or subtract or multiply and divide. But we have the findings of fact, starting with number one. No variance may be approved by the Land Use Board unless it makes all of the following findings. Number one, a strict application of the ordinance will result in an unnecessary hardship, but is not necessary to conclude that the strict application will prevent any reasonable use of the property. You see what the applicant has presented there on there. Anyone want to talk about? We'll talk about that one first. So anybody wants to start, please go.
I don't think we've had enough evidence presented to us to justify it.
I would like to say that having installed a lot of sidewalk in my lifetime, oops, 5 feet is very wide sidewalk. It's very wide. And normally on a residential area, if you got 3 feet, that would be good. But I would recommend that 4 feet be considered here. And you have to realize there'll be a form on each side. There'll be men moving heavy work boots and things like that. So it's possible to maybe relocate the sidewalk by a foot or 2 feet more over away from the sunflowers, more towards the road. And it looked like two pole spans or wire spans of the utility. So probably the most would be 700 feet. So anyway, that would be my recommendation, to move the sidewalk and narrow it down by a foot.
Mrs. Cope, in regard, do we have, I know when it comes to special use, do we have the authority to make some changes with regard to a variance? What's our powers there? You know, I know we can do conditions and this thing, I don't.
You can do conditions, reasonable conditions. If you deny the variance, they are required to put a sidewalk in. So
Yeah.
I don't, if your question is what.
So we can't change, we can't go in and say, you can have it, but, you know, you have to do it, but you can only make it 4, we can change it to 4 feet, or,
Well, I think I'll defer staff, but I think it's 5 feet is in the ordinance. So I think we probably can seek, grant relief from that 5 foot and put a smaller sidewalk in, if that's.
Could the board change the variance
Request.
during the meeting? I think that's.
I mean, I know we can make them put a fence or a tree, but I don't know if we can make them go from 5 to 4.
The variance wasn't for the width of the sidewalk, the variance was for eliminating. I would caution too that, not under our ordinance, but under ADA standards, if a sidewalk is less than 60 feet wide, there are.
60 feet or?
Inches.
60 inches.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yes, yeah. 60 inches wide, then you can go down to a 3-foot sidewalk section, but there are some, they're called passing lane type requirements.
Okay.
So ADA minimum is generally 60 inches. You can go down to 36 and do some bump outs, but I don't know the full rules on that, and we don't want to run counter ADA, even though they're not our ordinance requirements, we still we're upholding ADA standards.
Well, if we don't know the rules on it, we
We
can't
can't.
make that
I'm not-
anyway.
I think just in regard to the sunflowers, looking at the pictures and where they were, you really couldn't do that. The road's not curb and gutter, so you have drainage issues. You had to come in and
Yeah.
redo the ditch, have to do everything, move the poles, move the fence. So I don't think that limiting the width is an option.
I agree with you.
I don't think so either.
It's a different spot in the world. All right, guys, we got this one we got to deal with. This. What is the answer to number 1? The strict application of the ordinance will result in unnecessary hardship, but is not necessary to conclude that the strict application will prevent any reasonable use of the property.
I say it will not result in unnecessary hardships.
Okay, so you're,
Does the sidewalk actually create any value or benefit for Union County? I mean, I have developments around where I live and I drive around. I never see anybody walk on the sidewalks on the main roads, never. They walk on the sidewalks in the developments, yes. And never see anybody walking along the main roads. It's just,
I don't think it's
I've been in
really,
North Carolina 8 years. I'm like, where are all the people walking?
I don't really think it's based on that. I think it's based on the ordinance that.
I understand, but in this case, we're aiming people towards the back of an airport, an industrial area, and some daisies or whatever they are, sunflowers. And I just don't see the point of the sidewalk.
Well, I guess the other thing is, to their favor, do you really want to put sidewalks in an industrial area to encourage people to walk there?
That's what I was getting at. You're in the back of an airport, you're in an industrial area, you got some rare sunflowers. I'm not sure we want people walking there anyway. The one person a year who might walk there.
I get what you're saying, totally 100%. And I've been to many cities, typically larger than Monroe, but they have sidewalks that are everywhere. And, you know, you ask that question, well, do they really need a sidewalk there? But they got one. And you do see some people on them, and, you know, I get what you're saying, though. All right, well, I need somebody to make a motion with regard to number 1. Yeah, we're going to go through all of these individually, and then we'll get up to a final motion. But so, with regard to this number 1 finding of fact, what is the board's?
I think on number 1, it would require the destruction of the plant, or you have to move it. Those are your 2 choices on that first bullet point. The rest of it would be just not at this time. Whether it be accessing schools or the value to the public, any of that would just not be at this time. It would be all regarding future.
All right.
I don't think all the requirements have been met. I don't know for item number 1.
Okay, so I need somebody to say, I'll move that number 1 is an unnecessary hardship, or is not an unnecessary and not necessary to conclude this.
Well,
What would be the proper wording that we need to use if we
Yes,
disagree
Ms.
with it?
Cope, if you could do that
Yes,
for me.
please.
You tell me how we're gonna say that.
If-
'Cause either way.
Someone wants to make a motion that it does not meet that, that first standard, and then because of the, which would be your finding as a fact of
Yeah.
why it doesn't.
And if
Or in the
someone,
alternative, if someone wanted to make the motion, that, yes, that it does meet that because of this.
okay,
So it's depending on who wants to make what motion.
thank you. I may ask you again with number 2. We may ask you.
well, I make a motion that the proposed sidewalk does not put a hardship.
I'll agree with that.
And so it does not meet number one standard. Is your motion?
Yes, that's what he's,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying the project does not propose a hardship.
And it's not necessary to conclude the strict application will prevent any reasonable use of the property.
Right.
Yes. that's
Is that the
right.
motion?
Yeah.
Can we look at 2, 3, and 4 and then come back to
Oh,
1?
well, we-
Because they're all talking about the hardships.
I would like to add to 1 that the applicant could make modifications, which he would have to come back to us with. But he could put the sidewalk in. It just needs to be a special design to avoid sunflowers.
Okay, so can we move to number 2 next, or we have to answer this one first? Okay, so we have to vote on this one first. I'm sorry, Mr. Evans.
Okay.
So the motion, is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second that this will not result in an unnecessary hardship and is not necessary to conclude. Yeah, is that the motion?
yes.
Okay. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So we got 6 and 1. I guess we need to keep going through these, right? Okay. Number 2, the hardship is unique to the subject property rather than the common to the neighboring properties or the general public. I believe they testified that there were these things across the street, so as far as, and the thing, the endangered plant part, that's across the street as well. It's not in, I don't think, Union County, but it's still across there. It's not accessing schools, parks, playgrounds at this time. They keep talking about the cost, and that's obviously there. Anything else? What's y'all's thoughts on this one?
Although it would involve moving the plants, I don't believe it would create a unique hardship for any other reason.
No, that was
I
my
don't think
point.
so
That
either.
the plant thing went out the window with me early on, because they could be moved.
So I would say the hardship is not unique to the subject property. Would that be acceptable for a motion? That's good?
Yes.
Is that the motion you making?
But
Yes.
the main thing is, and if you're looking to deny the request, you need to prove that it's not creating a hardship.
We've already answered that in number 1.
Number 1, it's not creating hardship.
Yeah,
But it's not unique to that property, because there's nothing, yeah.
But basically, if we've already said number 1 is not a hardship, then number 2, there is no hardship.
That's correct.
Is that the motion?
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, make sure I had that one right. Number 3, the hardship relates to conditions peculiar to the subject property, location, size, shape, topography, rather than personal circumstances of the applicant, owner, or property. It says again, number 1, it's going to destruct the endangered plant. Number 2, they're saying it's the proposed sidewalk would not access schools, again, the cost comes up. The western edge, the partial adjacent to the airport, partial sits in the midst of industrial zoned, and the sidewalk would not connect to the existing sidewalks. Well, that's not a condition, that's not, there's other properties there. It's the same.
It's just the downsides of being first.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, we have a motion on that one.
I make a motion there again, just like number 1. There's no hardship that it's causing.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed? You opposed? Okay, I just want to make sure. You were not opposed to the last one, right?
No.
Okay, I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, Doug.
I wanna keep a track of all this, cause I don't wanna mess up. And I don't want Miss Griffin, she's over there trying to keep all this straight.
And
Number
if you
4.
will read, instead of just saying the hardship, if you will continue on the rest
Okay, can
of
you do that?
The one that
The motion was the hardship
does not relate to the
does not
conditions.
relate.
the hardship does not. Well, that's Mark's motion.
Make
Well,
her read
then,
the whole.
there again, we've just already determined there is no
Yeah,
hardship.
but she wants you to read the whole
understand.
statement.
I understand.
Okay, the hardship is not the result of actions taken by the
No,
applicant.
no, you're number 3 still.
Number 3.
Go
All
back
right.
to number 3.
I'm sorry,
Right,
the hardship relates to the condition
Does not
peculiar to the subject property, size, shape, topography, rather than personal circumstances of the applicant, owner, or such
that
property.
was okay. Now to number 4. The hardship is not the result of actions taken by the applicant or subject property owner, although the act of purchasing the property knowing that the variance may be needed or required does not constitute a self-created hardship. Again, number A, it's the sunflower. Number 2, doesn't go to school, everything's the same. It costs-
Well, I mean, actually,
I know it is. So, what's the motion? What's the motion there on that? The hardship is not the result of actions taken by the applicant. Well, the applicant didn't go out, I hope they didn't go out and plant sunflowers, so I guess they didn't do something on purpose. I mean, they couldn't, I guess they didn't.
but,
All right.
but the other thing is, in all honesty, the sidewalk that would be required to be right now don't even go to the sunflowers.
I know. Well, and
They
the
would
second-
really be on the phase 2 part anyway.
And they purchased the property. I don't know if they knew the variance was required or not, but it doesn't constitute a self-created hardship. They didn't go out and purchase it, knowing they were gonna have a hardship when they purchased it, because, I don't know. So, is there a motion?
Motion that the hardship is not the result of actions taken by the applicant.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
I'll go aye. Opposed?
I'm confused on the motion.
Well, the motion's saying they didn't do anything to create this themselves.
So we're agreeing with what it's saying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So, I am, again, all in favor?
I guess all I'm saying is, on this number 4, we are
Yeah.
siding with them.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
they didn't create this themselves.
That is correct.
Okay.
They-
aye.
Yeah.
So, any opposed? Okay. Number 5, by granting the variance, the spirit of this ordinance will be observed, public safety and welfare will be secured, and substantial justice will be done. That's if we grant this variance, the spirit of the ordinance is going to be observed, and the public safety and welfare will be secured. So what we're saying here is, if we say, yes, they can have this variance, then it's in line with the ordinance as it should be observed, and this public and safety welfare will be better without the sidewalk, and substantial justice will be done without the sidewalk.
I don't understand the substantial justice will be done.
Well, I guess that sidewalk's just not needed, and the justice would prevail that
I see what,
the organization should not have to put it out there, because that's the justice, is what I read it to be. So do I have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that by not granting the variance, the spirit of this ordinance will be observed. Public safety and welfare will be secured, and substantial justice will be done.
Okay. I got you. Does everybody understand
Oh,
it?
you
Is there a
said
second?
by not granting. You said by not granting. I second it.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, do I have a motion now for the approval, or, well, based on our actions here, is there a motion to deny the We kind of can't not deny it based on the fact that we've all voted, well, not all of us, but it's been over a majority for each one of these things,
All the
except for
findings
one.
of fact were not met.
Well, all the findings, of fact, all the, yeah. you're
So I
right.
make a motion that it be denied because all the findings of fact were not satisfied.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
I'll second that.
any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
They haven't been met, so.
Oh, any opposed?
I would,
Aye.
I would like to add, not for discussion, but the applicant made no attempt to save the sunflowers by modifying his design. He just wanted complete relief.
Thanks, sir. All right, thank you all, and now we will move on to our next item on the agenda, which is rezoning petition CZ 2023-002 VL Properties. And let me go ahead over here to that one, because I got all these little... We need a 5-minute break according to Mr. Jensen, so we will take a 5-minute break, and then we'll move on to this next session.
I mean, honestly, it is a sidewalk, it's going nowhere at this point in time. But we don't know what tomorrow brings.
Are you wanting to speak on one of the items? Delegate for the,
So they said we don't have to, I just wondered what they were presenting, the county and our application.
are you presenting the rezoning or is Lee?
Lisa.
Because he's the applicant.
So, y'all present, and we got all the.
So what we do is, we'll give a presentation with the roads, and then we just, we'll tip you, and then we let you get into the meat of it. You know, what we have not hit on, to kind of elaborate. And then also, should the board have any questions, you as the applicant are there to answer.
Okay.
Does he need to sign anything in forms?
They told me as the applicant, you didn't need to sign. I did. I did myself sign it. So they give them a short presentation. Okay. Let's see. Huh? I signed up, there's a sheet out there, I signed up on a green card. You ready to roll again? I signed up on the sign-in sheet, I signed up on the green card, but when I was doing that, they also told me that the applicant did not need to sign up.
Right. Are you the applicant?
Yes, he's.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Okay, perfect.
Are you wanting to speak for it yet? Oh, you're
I Well, see, it is not so hot. I was telling her, I come here, the little branch comes across Love Mill Road. I tell her, sister, comes out of Fort Clark's pond. And since they filled the pond, and he was talking about it being for the 60-foot wide. It's a good engineering school. I gave up on it. I went to textiles and construction.
Because that was like a church, that's the smallest, this is a rezoning. Well, because they had already come before us, and our attorney that was beside me, we have to have her here for, the court cases, and she's got 2 little kids, so we try to do them first. So she- 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm like, I take a milkshake and I'm like, I have heartburn for the rest of the night.
A lot of stomach growling.
But yeah, this one was, because that, yeah, that one, yeah, it's evidence, it's testimony, so it's very judicial. And this is a result of kind of an opinion, but they have these little columns. It's not quite.
Okay, will we take a look at it?
No, they stay in.
Okay.
No, they'll allow us.
All right, so the next item is the rezoning request case to amend the zoning map Union County by rezoning one parcel of land totaling 3.087 acres appearing on tax map as tax parcel 08-036-025, is that a B? and the Goose Creek Township from B4 with conditions to B4 with modified conditions. The applicant requests rezoning in order to build a 12,000 square foot container top container top. It's been a long day and my eyes are getting old. Countertop. What would a container top be? Countertop manufacturing facility. Rezoning will include in the following conditions, and there, let's see. So at this time, is it you?
Yes, sir.
It says here it's Bjorn,
He's in Australia.
riding the kangaroo. Well, we'll take you.
All right.
Talk to us, sir.
As you stated, this is our rezoning request 2023 CZ002, the applicant's VL Properties. And this is a conditional rezoning request, so conditions can be negotiated between the planning board, board of commissioners, and the applicant. The only caveat is the applicant has to agree to those conditions. As you stated, this is a request to amend the zoning map of Union County, rezone one parcel of land. It's approximately 3 acres, appearing on the tax map is 08036-025B. It's in Goose Creek Township to B4 with conditions, from B4 with conditions to B4 with some modified conditions. And I'll go over that in just a second because that looks a little strange, I'm sure. The applicant, as you said, requests the rezoning to build a 12,000 square foot countertop manufacturing facility. And there are 6 conditions that staff has spoken with the applicant about that would be based on, it would be the site plan that's dated March 21st, 2024, which you'll see in just a second. There would be 5-year vesting of development rights. The existing rental house on the property would be removed. There would not be a customer showroom associated with this development, so no customers would come and look around at countertops that were set up for display. Any machinery that's used in fabricating those countertops would be placed in the interior of the building, and that the development would meet all requirements of the Union County Development Ordinance.
Mr. Jensen?
Yes, sir.
Could you back up just a minute? Okay, could you explain the 5-year vesting of development rights?
Yes. Essentially what that means is that if the Board of Commissioners ultimately approve this rezoning request, that anything you see on the site plan would be vested for 5 years. Under North Carolina general statutes, you get an automatic two-year vesting. So that means that if let's say in B4, I think the side setback's 20 feet, correct? So side setback's 20 feet in B4. And this is just one example. If, let's say, 2 weeks after this rezoning request were approved, the board decided they wanted to change that side setback to 25 feet, then this project, based on its approval, would be vested. It get automatically vested for 2 years. You can ask for up to 5, and that's statutory. So essentially, if some future ordinance requirement changed, then they would be vested based on the plan that you approved or the Board of Commissioners approved for up to 5 years.
We used to call that kind of like grandfathered.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And it's essentially to, so if the board agreed and rezoned the property, it's to give the applicant time to get plans developed, because these are conceptual level plans. So it gives the applicant time to develop their full plans, to grade, to start building and get the project built without being impacted by some future change.
Okay, one other question, go back one more time. All machinery used in fabrication will be placed in the interior of the building. Normally, on your commercial buildings, the air compressors, dryers and things are set outside. So this requires all of their equipment, air compressors included, to be inside the building.
Yes, that would
Okay.
be the way I read that.
Okay.
Any more questions before I move on? Okay. This is a site plan that the applicant submitted with the request. In this case, the upper portion of that map is north, so this is oriented up is north on this map. So you can see the east side of the property is where the building will be located. The parking is just to the west of that. The access is just north of that onto Highway 218. The rest of the property to the west is really not built on. You have a really small building envelope there anyway because the property kind of tapers off. This is relatively similar to a previous rezoning request as far as the building layout. The use is different, and that's why it's currently zoned B4 with conditions, and they're asking to rezone it to B4 with some modified conditions. The previous rezoning was for a automobile repair facility, and they had some conditions associated with that as well. But as far as the building layout, it's generally similar to this. I just wanted to point that out. These are the existing conditions on the property. That top left one that you see, that's the rental house that they were talking about that would be removed. And that's the driveway going into it. So that's looking off of 218, obviously, to the south. The top right corner is sort of to the right, or I'm sorry, to the left of that rental house if you're standing in 218 looking at it. That there used to be, I think, a mobile home there that was removed some years ago. Bottom left corner, that's looking west down 218, so sort of closest town would really be Fairview. So it's a good ways down. that's looking toward Fairview. And then east is looking sort of toward New Salem.
Lee, now
Yes,
that
sir.
road there, that's 218?
That's 218, yes, sir.
So 218 already has a lot of truck traffic on it anyway,
Yes.
so you wouldn't
Yes,
be
there's-
putting truck traffic on a road that don't already have it.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of truck traffic and a lot of vehicular traffic as well. Again, this property shows that it's currently developed because there is it's a relatively, it's 3 acres, it's not a huge piece of property, and there's a rental home on it now. So it is showing that it's developed. However, that doesn't mean it couldn't be redeveloped into something else. The area kind of surrounding that, most of it is kind of a mix. At Love Mill Road, you have some commercial development at that intersection. But then you have just the rest of it is large tracts of property that's either farmland or large lot residential.
Yeah, a question, just because I'm familiar with it. That the corner there at Love Mill and 218, what's it zone? I know there's like an old building there. It used to be a gas station 100 years ago. Well, when I was younger, but 100 years ago. Is that commercial, or is it just, was
I
that?
believe it is. I do have a slide for zoning. So that's
Gotcha. Thank you, sir. I
One quick-
jumped ahead of you. I apologize.
One quick question.
Yes, sir.
Looking at the page that we have in our book that relates to the picture that's up, it says the site is more than 3 miles from Mineral Springs. That's,
It's definitely more than 3
Yeah,
miles.
well, that's
I guarantee.
that's probably a typo, but it's not an untrue statement.
It's definitely not untrue.
no,
Maybe y'all were going for New Salem? I don't know.
okay, I just want to clarify that.
As far as environmental features, there is a stream that looks like it starts on the north side of this property across the street from 218. There are some wetlands that are shown on this property. I do want to point out that if this was in the 12 Mile Creek sewer service area, there would be buffers required off that. This is not, however, in the 12 Mile Creek sewer service area. So the requirement there, if that wetland even exists, the requirement there would be that the applicant would have to work with the State and Army Corps of Engineers to make an on-site determination to see if that wetland exists, and there are ways to mitigate those wetlands if you're disturbing them. So there really are no, in this case, there really are no county requirements for those wetland areas, but there are federal and state rules.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
If it gets rezoned, is the site plan they have already been approved that they would want, or does it still have to go through the approval process?
No, that site plan would still have to go through the approval process. So this is the first step. So
The rezoning is the first stage, but
Yes.
then it would still go through
There's
all
still a-
the steps.
Yes,
of-
there's still a full-blown site plan review that the applicant would have to go through, where they would work with the county, all of the state and federal environmental agencies, that ones that may or may not be required, sedimentation, erosion control, just a whole number. The NCDOT, I think they have checked with the NCDOT about that driveway access, but they would still have to go through the proper permitting procedure. So yes, there's a whole lot of,
So realistically, even if it was rezoned, that still don't mean it would actually get approved yet.
correct.
Okay.
I'm just confused a minute, but I've been known to be. The first thing you showed is, I'm assuming that's the location of a building,
Yes.
and it looks like it's in the wetlands, is that
Yes.
right, or? so it's-
Well, yes, so this map does show wetlands, however, this map is not gospel.
Okay,
There has to be an on-site determination done regardless of what this map says. to
so that's
determine
where
it.
it goes into the next step.
Correct.
If that building's gonna be in a wetland, they had to move it, or, and
Yes.
it still had to meet setbacks if it was moved.
Correct.
Because this is a very skinny piece of property.
It is a
here.
very skinny piece of property.
Yeah. So
and-
it would, yeah. okay.
Yeah, and there have been people that have found wetlands that didn't show up on this map, and there have been wetlands that were shown on this map that
Don't exist.
did not exist. So that's why you go through that permitting process.
This little triangle piece here is almost like that produce place off Providence Road we
Yes,
had that
that's
time.
right. That's right. It sure is.
Yeah.
Here's the zoning map, Darren, that you were.
Gotcha.
You were talking about. So, yes, the corner of Love Mill and the corner you were talking about of Love Mill and 218 is zoned B4. And the catty corner is also zoned B4.
And you got that light industrial, yeah.
Yeah, we got the light
What
industrial.
is this pink down here?
That's a B2 district. To be honest with you, I'm not sure.
It's interesting.
I'm not sure what that was.
Oh,
there.
I think there was a ladies' hair salon there at one time, maybe.
Hmm.
I just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Not sure, but I know
Um,
this area pretty well. I went to school at Piedmont, and you can't not know it.
So the subject site, again, it's zoned B4 conditional, because there is an approved rezoning on that, conditional rezoning for that automotive repair shop.
Right.
The rest of the area is zoned RA40.
Okay.
Mark, to your statement about traffic, here's your transportation map. So just west of the site on 218, there was a traffic count back in 2021. You had about 5,100 vehicle trips a day. And then Love Mill, you can see you're at about 1,100 trips a day. And there is a future roundabout proposed at 218 and Love Mill.
What can I do to oppose that, by the way?
You can start by calling Bjorn. I don't have a timeline on that, though.
Another whole nother subject, but.
Land use plan calls for this area to develop for rural residential. We did not reach out to Union County Public Schools because this is not a residential rezoning, it's a commercial, so we don't send those over to the schools. The parcel would use Union County water. There's a water line on 218, and it would rely on a septic system. And that, again, that's another one part of that review process and that approval process. They would have to go through environmental health to make sure that the septic system that's on site either works or that they could get a new one approved to accommodate what they want to do. A community meeting was held on April 9th. We had 5 people that attended. Attendees expressed concerns about noise, stormwater runoff, and impacts on property values. The applicant did not make any changes based on the feedback received during that community meeting. No municipal feedback was solicited because the closest municipality is probably Fairview or Unionville, which is a good ways to the west. So negatives of the proposal, the proposed land use is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, as the subject property is in rural residential. There is an identified node approximately 1 mile away, though. Proposed land use will generate traffic impacts on nearby transportation systems beyond those expected from rural residential land uses, which are recommended in the comp plan. The proposed land use will increase impervious surface, which can increase the potential for increased stormwater runoff. Positives of the proposal: the existing property is already zoned for business at a similar intensity, which would minimize potential impacts from the rezoning compared to the current zoning of the property. There are existing business uses on nearby properties, which is consistent with the proposed use for this one. The rezoning will promote the general welfare of Union County by increasing business opportunities with the county while not significantly increasing the intensity of the permitted uses on the property. And the proposed land use will have access to an identified truck route, Mark, to your point, minimizing truck traffic on inadequate roads, which may not be identified as truck routes. And staff recommendation based on those factors is to approve. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I have one. What they're proposing here is a place where they actually make the countertops.
Correct.
It's not like a showroom of sales place and all. They already know what they're gonna make and they make it.
Correct.
Okay.
Could you clarify again, and you may already know, why we're going from B4 to B4?
B4?
Yeah, condition.
Yes,
What's
the-
exactly
The current zoning that's out there was, I don't remember the year, but it was a conditional rezoning that was approved some years ago. It was zoned at that time from RA 40 to B4 conditional. The only allowed use on that site at the time was an automobile repair facility. So this is essentially changing the use. There might be some slight design modifications to the site, but that's the primary thing.
So you're just changing the use from that to the, but does this mean that they could do something else?
No, this would be, since we're tying it to
countertop?
because it's a conditional rezoning, you're allowed to tie it to a particular use. So
Gotcha.
if this was approved, that would be the use that was allowed. So if somebody wanted to come back and do, a retail store on it at some future date, they would have to come back and get a new rezoning approved.
Right. Excellent, okay. Any questions for our friend, Mr. Jensen?
I believe the applicant is here.
Yeah, we'll call them up next if nobody has questions for you. Nobody? Well, we might still have questions eventually.
That's fine.
I'll try to keep you here as long as I can. All right, the applicant. Is the applicant present? If the applicant's present, I'd like them to come please forward and please state your name.
I am Jim Craddock with Concord Engineering and Surveying out of Concord. Harris Lineberger is our client for this site plan and rezoning.
Right.
Harris
All right.
Lineberger,
You okay?
GC.
All right, I guess just tell us what you're doing here.
We're gonna, what we propose is putting in a 12,000 square foot facility for countertop fabrication and associated parking areas for that. The use fits that property, the building will fit on there, and fits in the zoning that is currently there. It's just that the use was restricted to a automobile repair shop. We need to get past this rezoning so that we can investigate the property further and determine whether or not there will be special conditions and uses as far as environmental goes or other factors that we will have to address during the design. And so the countertop fabrication facility would be all within the building. The concerns raised by residents at our public hearing, some of those were noise, which the machinery, as far as the machinery causes 80 decibels of noise, and we're going to keep that inside the building, including the air compressors. And the slurry runoff was one of the other concerns, which we will capture and recycle the water. We will separate the solids until they dry and store them in a trash container until they have dried, and then we will dispose of them in a proper disposal site. Air filters will be used to separate any dust particulates that are part of the process, and we will use, and I forget the name of the cutting machine. It's a wet laser water jet.
Water jet.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Cutting machine that cuts the granite and polishes it.
Okay, one question.
Sure.
The building, is it a total metal building, or will it be a metal building with a brick facade, or what's the presence of looking at it from the road?
Yeah, we can't answer that because we haven't gotten that far from the
Okay,
design process.
just curious.
At this point.
Okay.
How many, I don't see on here, how many
The employees, right now, we expect 5 employees.
So there's, parking would be limited to
Very
not
right.
allowed.
5 employees with materials being brought in and deliveries taken out, about 3 to 5 trips a week.
Okay.
Is this gonna be all stone countertops?
Yes.
I have a question. So this is, you're not preparing a countertop for installation in a home? You're actually manufacturing the countertop?
No, sir.
No, we're fabricating it, or cutting it.
Cutting and polishing, not actually forming or doing quartzite material and molding anything.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
basically
So
you
just-
bring, yeah,
Just to follow up, I
Yeah.
wanted to, on fumes, would there be fumes coming from your facility?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Okay.
you're bringing in large pieces of granite and stuff and cutting them into shapes for people's
That's
countertop, like this one right here, which is definitely not granite, but.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
But basically, you're cutting rocks.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Y'all got any other questions for our applicants?
And the water jet that you're gonna be cutting with, is that water recycled and cleaned?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It is recycled, reused, and then the slurry that comes from the water from cutting goes into the recycling bin and is hauled off and disposed of.
Okay.
And so you do not have a sewer here, so you gotta put your own in, that's not gonna be an
Right.
issue.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
So this is similar to the, I don't know the name, but there's a facility behind the Ford place on 74 that does cutting.
I'm
Similar
not
to
familiar with
I
that,
assume.
but if that's what they do, yes. I would say.
Okay.
As long,
All right, thank you.
So will
Jim.
most of the storage be outside the building or inside?
No, the plan is to store most everything inside and keep, it's a large facility, so, or big enough to get the piece of equipment to cut and put the machinery, et cetera, inside the building.
All right, anything else? Okay, thank you, sirs.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we have 5 people, well, Mr. Craddock was one of those. We have 4 people signed up to speak. The first one on the list is Mr. Roger Melton, located 3327 Highway 218. Mr. Melton, sir, you may come forward. Oh, so we got, who else we got?
This is Alan Griffin.
He's number 3 on the list, so he can.
I'm Roger
you and
Melton.
him
I was gonna let him
Y'all
work.
can tag team.
We can tag team?
Yeah, just hit him and let,
I like it.
whoever wants to go first or whatever.
3 minutes.
All right,
We do have a limit on our time here, so it's 20 seconds. No, it's
all right.
it's
I
3
want him to
minutes.
work this while I was talking.
But y'all get 6 minutes between the 2 of you, so roll.
Okay. Well, first of all, can you pull up the map he had with everybody's property on it? No.
All right,
You
well,
do.
I'm not
Come-
gonna count
come
your
on,
time, I'm
if
gonna
you
bring it
would,
up a minute,
please.
so we'll give you this first.
First of all, I went to Piedmont too. I moved there
sorry.
in 1983 across the road.
Okay.
I own,
Is that good right there? Or do you want?
yeah, that one you had right there. That's
Okay.
fine.
All right.
All right. Okay, that's talking about the water drainage or the water runoff across the road starting. That's not where it starts. It's a branch that comes in off of Love Mill Road behind the property he's talking about. Goes by Mike's brother Joseph and Mike and them's, and it goes right across the pond where they're wanting to put the building. A pond's been filled in. Mike Harrington filled it in with trash and all years ago when he bought that property. And there's a water aquifer under there that that I was told by her dad that the people across the road used to get their water from. I've got about 3 or 4 springs that pop up on me across the road. Now, my property, I own 3401, 3403, and 3327 where I live at. And there, Margaret lives right across the road from them, and then my property is to the west of her and then goes back about 300 yards. Mine is the one, I bought Cora Love's property, and it looks like a handle, and then you look like a piece that looks like a meat cleaver in the back. That's all mine.
Okay.
From the tip all the way back. Now, the springs that come up and where the water runs, there is a swamp area there. And Mike said since he filled in the pond, they have water that sits there too. So I don't know if they did a compression test when they tried to build that building before, but with all that being wet like they are, it would be hard, I would think, with all them springs. And plus, when it hits, it wishbones at the back of our properties and straight to Rocky River. So, where they're wanting to build it at, the top of the hill comes down and then runs right to Lonnie Green's old store, as you was talking about, or Jeff Cook's. And there's already been, the traffic's real bad. Their trucks come through, cars hit top of the hill, floor it right down to where they're wanting to put which that would slow some of that down, the roundabout. But we've already seen one 14-year-old girl get killed right in front of that property on the side of the road, hit by a car and killed. Noah's, from where I live up there, you can hear people talking at the crossroads up there, plain as day. Unless, with the trucks, as many trucks as coming by. Let's go ahead and tag team.
All right, thank you, sir. That was, you did great. That was almost 3 minutes, so.
Yep, good deal.
But Ms. Balcom is next, if she wants to speak it between you, or we'll bring her up third. Okay, sir. Is this Mr. Griffin?
Yes, sir, thank you.
And Mr. Griffin, you're located at 3206 Highway 218.
That's correct.
Which is located where exactly?
I'm approximately 3/10 of a mile west on the same side of the road.
Okay, so you're down here where this little pink part is? Or down right there somewhere, where the little pink is on the map?
Just west of that.
Okay.
Just west of that.
So you're heading up more closer to, I got you. I think I know where you are.
There's actually under 218 there's a creek.
Got you, and it failed one time. Yep, and the whole road was shut down.
And now it's a mess, but anyway, that's a different deal. That's a state issue, it's a state highway.
Right, got you.
But that's where my wife and I live. And
George Love lives right there, right?
he's my daddy-in-law.
Okay, got you.
So the reason I'm here is I started in the stone business in 1994, and I've traveled all over the United States. I've been in stone shops in 48 of our 50 states and 4 or 5 European countries. I'm pretty familiar with stone shops. I started in the business with selling tools, expendables, that's common to what these folks are going to use. And then I morphed over and I've sold capital equipment, the saws, the larger capital equipment that go in these shops.
Right.
And I have about 4 bullet points that I think could be a concern for some of the neighbors. And I understand, I've heard that all of the equipment would be housed inside. Well, that's great. That's a great start. But in my experience, I've never been into a stone shop in the southeast where the weather's warm, outside the coldest days, that the fabricators didn't open every door, every access door that they had. And most of these shops are metal buildings. And if you put a compressor in, if it's not a screw compressors are fairly quiet. But if you put a reciprocating compressor in there, it's going to pound all day against that metal. Okay. All right? And it's very common, even though it's a small 5-person shop, they do 3 things in stone shops. They cut the stone, dimension it, they shape it, and they polish it. That's it. 3 things. And the air polishers that they use, they're run off pneumatic typically in today's environment. And these pneumatic tools turn under a load of about 4,000, 4,500 RPMs, and they attach Velcro, attach diamonds to it to polish the edge detail. Well, these air tools whine and they're loud, and they're air hogs, but they're loud. And they typically run at about 97 decibels at 4,000 RPM, and under a load, the whining of that's even louder, and that'll be compounded more by a tin building. So the air pollution for the neighbors that live maybe a little closer than me, such as these folks, I think could be a potential issue.
3 minutes about is up, but if you could round it quickly, get to the next one.
Yep.
I'll give
Water
you a little-
contamination.
Okay.
Typically what happens is there's troughs built in these stone shops, and the water is fed into a pit area. And the judicious folks take it, and they make equipment to squeeze the sludge out of it, and it can be dried and disposed of as a solid waste in a landfill. Slurry cannot. They will not accept that.
Right.
So the fear would be not being judicious and the water runoff getting into the creeks and into the rivers. Okay? And the third point would be the air pollution. If the folks are gonna fabricate granite and quartz, this material, they have crystals in it, quartz. And when you saw quartz or polish it, anything you do without water that's suspended in the air, these are known carcinogenic airborne products. That's a concern. And the last concern that I had was the slabs, and I heard the gentleman say storage inside. That's good. I was going to ask if there was going to be a fence around the property, because it is a rural area and kids could come and a slab could fall on them, and that would be terrible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Ms. Balcom, would you like to speak? All right.
My name's Margaret Balkman. I've been on that property for 1977.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's a good place for kids to be around, and it's not made to have something that the kids could be out in the surf. So there's a lot of traffic on that road. It's constantly big trucks all the time. I almost got killed on about 218. I had to get my mailbox moved because it was so close to the edge of the highway, and the truck was right on me.
All right, yes, thank you, ma'am. Well, that worked out good. Thank you. Well, I have and Ms. Balcom lives on 3407 Highway 218, which is literally probably the closest one on here, right across the street. Mike and Debbie Henson, are they here? Are y'all all both speaking, or do you just want?
Well, I hadn't planned to, but since
Well,
you
your
called
name's
my
on
name.
here. Did she sign you up?
Yeah, I got signed up. Well, my name is.
And you live on Love Mill, which is around the corner, okay.
We're behind it.
Gotcha.
We're the residents that borders, our line property borders theirs, but, I don't think my wife wants to speak, but, the problem with me is it gonna be a noise issue? I have got to be persuaded it will not. And hopefully, I will be persuaded. And the runoff is another issue. And Mr. Griffin went over it well, and hopefully this is going to work out. I'm not against any kind of, not production, but things just growing to the betterment of the community. But my problem is it going to be exactly like it is stated? And is the county going to stand behind what is said? Is that, as it passes, and OSHA, will OSHA be involved?
All right, I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure manufacturing facility, that's not our place, but we're just talking about the land. But I'm sure anytime manufacturing place, they're gonna be involved. They'll be inspected.
They could show up on scene at any time, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
To inspect.
That's-
You're correct. OSHA can show up on scene if whatever's approved, our department would be responsible for the zoning aspect of it. So any conditions that were approved
Right.
as part of the rezoning, we would ensure that those conditions were met. Of course, OSHA is sort of a separate agency, but you're correct. I mean, if OSHA shows up, you got to do it
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, the noise was what I was talking about, and the airborne, and the runoff with the sludge, and if it can be contained. But that was our concern.
Okay.
But everything can be done the way it said it can be done, then that's a positive.
All right.
And my wife does not want to speak, so she's willing to yield her time back to Mr. Griffin, because he is more knowledgeable than we are. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. All right, so, I guess, yes, sir.
Jim and I were going through the ordinance, and we've actually noticed a potential issue that we might need to work out.
Okay.
So and the reason is, what I don't want to do, if you make a recommendation tonight, we have to go to the Board of County Commissioners.
Right.
I don't want this issue that we've sort of noticed here, that would really complicate taking it to the Board of County Commissioners. So that's why I went and talked to the applicant outside just a second ago. I want to talk to Bjorn when he gets back to find out, to try to clear up what I've seen here. So I'm just asking for 30 days, if we can continue this for 30 days.
Okay.
But based on my conversation with the applicant, they were fine.
Okay.
Might be the best thing to do.
Okay, I have no problem with that, and I would ask this question relating to issues like fencing. That's not really something can we get into that with us, or secure the property, because those slabs are huge, and I get the concern that somebody could wander on there and one fall on them. And
Anything that's related to that property that relates to, adjacent property owner issues is fair game for conditions.
Gotcha.
Just the caveat is the applicant has to agree.
Agree to it, gotcha. All right.
He said that everything was being stored inside.
Oh, I guess that would be, but, okay, so do we need to make, you have a question? We need to make a motion to continue then?
Yes,
I'll make a motion, we continue for 30 days.
30 days.
Okay.
Well, 30 days or to the next month, or
Next
whatever that
meeting.
date is. Continue to the
Next
next
meeting.
scheduled meeting, which would be June, does anybody know that, just so they know? We can tell them while they're here. We got a calendar?
June 8th.
June 18th, so the next, it'll be continued to June 18th. Everyone's welcome to come back. We will, assuming we continue it, we gotta vote on that yet, but June 18th would be, motion is to continue to June 18th. Do I have a second? Second, any discussion?
I do.
Rick? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, we'll see you guys back on the 18th.
What was there, or what was originally, it was an auto repair shop or something?
Oh, okay.
It never got built, did it?
It never got built. There was a rezoning approved in 2018. I went and looked it up.
But that was for
It was for an automobile repair shop,
All right.
but it never went forward. It never got built. So,
All right, thank you, sir. We have our next,
They can leave if they want to, yeah.
yeah, y'all are free to leave. If y'all don't, y'all are free also to stay and hear about transportation.
Thank y'all.
Apparently you're getting a roundabout.
Thank y'all.
it's more about sidewalks if you want.
Yeah. Sidewalks and roundabout. All right.
Only thing I saw for that sidewalk was the employees could walk at lunchtime.
All right, I guess you're speaking for Bjorn.
Yes. So
Again.
So this is a comprehensive transportation plan pedestrian map amendment request. This is from staff.
Okay.
So we're bringing this to you to take a look at before it goes to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay.
So what is the comprehensive transportation plan? So it is maintained by CARPO. So it's a plan that all the municipalities and Union County we feed information into it, and there's a big comprehensive transportation plan. And there is a portion of it that's related to pedestrians, so sidewalks, side paths, greenways, things like that. It is required, so North Carolina General Statute requires that there be a pedestrian component and that there be a comprehensive transportation plan. Amendments to those plans are approved by CARTPO and NCDOT. However, they do that with input from the Board of County Commissioners or the municipality that's being impacted. So what happens is that anytime a road is widened or a new road's built, if there's you can see the list up there, if there's a rail, a pedestrian, bicycle, or transit project, if there's something that's built, that's where this comes into play. It doesn't really come into play on intersection scale improvements where it may be a roundabout or, you know, if they're hanging up some, you know, four-way stop or hanging up some traffic signals. They don't really, it doesn't come into play there. But if you're building a new facility, if you're building new laneage on a road or a new road altogether, or, you know, you're widening a road, then that's when this comes into play. So how do we use it? So as you saw on one of the previous requests, we use it when there's a new development. So if a new development pops up, comprehensive transportation says there's supposed to be a sidewalk, we require the installation of that sidewalk. If there is a bridge replacement, and DOT, they send those bridge replacements over to us, we look at them. If the comprehensive transportation says there's supposed to be a sidewalk along that new corridor, when they replace that bridge, they incorporate the sidewalk into that design. And CARTPO uses it again when they build new facilities. If there's a sidewalk or side path in the comprehensive transportation plan, they will build that as part of that project. A good example is Highway 16. So 16 is going to be widened, and the comprehensive transportation plan calls for sidewalks along that corridor. So DOT is going to build the sidewalks as part of that widening project. So that's how Union County and CARTPO County use this plan. So this is the existing map. It's kind of all over the place, but you can, you know, kind of make out where the sidewalks are supposed to be. There are some missing segments on this map that the towns maybe have planned for, or that you know, maybe Waxhaw and Marvin have planned for sidewalks, and maybe there's a gap missing in Union County that doesn't kind of make sense. So those missing segments are along Waxhaw Marvin Road. That's the example of Marvin and Waxhaw. Crane Road, kind of the same issue there. There's some gaps that are missing. Bonds Grove, Billy Howie, and NC 218, and you'll see it's not all of NC 218. It's just coming out of Mecklenburg County. Right. And there are some unnecessary requirements. So what's shown on the current map that really isn't necessary: Rocky River south of NC 75, Fletcher Broom, and they're all kind of in that same area, Plyler Mill and Doster Road. That's really a result of the comp plan. So when the comp plan, the 2050 plan, was updated, that whole area was shown on the previous plan as sort of medium density residential. There was anticipated that there would be sewer down there, and you want sidewalks if you're going to have people living and walk around. But since that density was kind of pulled back, if you'll remember, that whole area switched from sort of a medium density residential to rural residential. There's no really need now for those sidewalks down there, so it was kind of pulled back. So again, that's the existing map.
Before you go back up one, I see, I live near Rocky River, north of, not south 75, but north 75.
Yeah.
Is that required there?
Yes, it is required there. And there's actually very little of that. So if you see kind of along, I don't know if it comes out really well on this screen, but I think you can see it on here. It's kind of that, I'm going to call that beige, dark beige color. Yeah. Those are all municipal boundaries. So there's actually very little of that area along the Rocky River that's in our jurisdiction.
This is Rocky River South.
Yeah, we're
So
we're
you're not
talking
talking about,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. that's
Yeah,
what-
yeah, he was talking about north, like,
I'm on the north side.
yeah.
Yeah, so
We,
that's.
we don't have a whole lot of jurisdiction there, so that would all mostly be the city of Monroe. But south of 75 is all our jurisdiction, but that density was lowered. The density on the north side, which, again, very, very little is our jurisdiction, but the portion that is still our jurisdiction is still shown as sort of a medium density. That's why we're not asking to change it north of 75, it's just south.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
If you're on South Providence or South Rocky River,
Mhm.
and you bought a 1 acre lot and built a house there, would you be required?
No, it's just for larger development. So if a developer bought a piece of property on Rocky River Road, then technically, you can see this map. So where that's shown in red, we're today saying there should be a sidewalk all the way down, really that's to 200. So from 75 to 200, there should be sidewalks based on the current plan. Now, we're saying that's not necessary because that density was really pulled back and there's no sewer down there, so you're likely not going to see large-scale development.
Okay,
Yeah, I
but,
mean, you'll
but
see
the
some.
developer wouldn't have to put it up unless they developed the property
Correct.
that was against the road.
Correct.
So, I mean, you've got it red, like you said, all the way down through there, but
That red means we're asking CartPo to update this plan to remove the requirement for sidewalks. So this not only impacts developers, this would impact NCDOT. If there were some project on South Rocky River Road, NCDOT would then say, okay, well, the transportation plan says there's supposed to be sidewalks, so we're going to build them. And in our opinion, because that density was lowered so much, that's not necessary.
so in other words, if you needed a bridge replaced, a small bridge, you're probably gonna go to the bottom of the line way further because it's gonna cost more to build it because of the sidewalk requirement.
Potentially, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a proposed map. You can see the red are areas that we're asking to remove. So we're saying they don't need sidewalks. The green areas are areas where we've evaluated and we've said we think this is where sidewalks should be added. And I'll point out that most of these green areas are just, they're gaps. So for example, this section on Waxhaw Marvin Road, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but this section on Waxhaw Marvin Road, Marvin requires sidewalks in their jurisdiction, Waxhaw requires sidewalks in their jurisdiction. This section in the unincorporated portion of Union County, and there are portions of Marvin there, it was just easier to, because it's kind of spread out, it was just easier to draw one solid green line at this scale. Since those two towns required them, and their comprehensive transportation plan, the portion they fed into CartPo required it, it felt like that you didn't want a gap there. So if that area ever built out, then you should have that connect in the future. Same thing with Crane Road. You can see here, Weddington requires it, Marvin requires it, so it made sense for us to require it as well.
Go to the right there a little bit,
Right here?
a little bit more.
Right there?
Is that, yeah, that little spot.
Yeah, talk to me, is that Billy Howie?
That one is Billy Howie, yes,
What
and that's
in the
just,
world is
that is
that?
just south of Marvin, and that terminates at, I think.
Newtown, isn't it?
No, this is.
No,
this
Newtown's
is-
in West Chapel.
This is Newtown right here.
So that's the part that goes down toward the campground.
Yep.
Got you.
Oh, okay.
Part of it's,
So this terminates, it took me a second to get that. That terminates right at, there's a neighborhood, as soon as you head south on Billy Howie,
Right there
from
at the bottom of the
Newtown,
hill.
they have sidewalks, and so this would essentially connect to that sidewalk network.
because they're building
It's a-
that new development up there too.
Yeah, but it's,
Is Is it before you get on the
Is it
bridge?
Briarcrest?
Briarcrest.
Yeah, so Briarcrest has a
Yeah,
sidewalk
it's
that
all the way
runs,
down to
it runs
where I
along one
live.
side, crosses the road and keeps going.
Yeah,
This would be the
exactly.
short section from Newtown to the
To
Briarcrest
Briarcrest, where
sidewalk.
there's absolutely nothing.
Right, yeah, but if it ever developed, then
Well, how
the,
can it develop? Because half of it's already developed behind it. You
well,
see
there-
what I'm saying?
well, there's a big field at the corner that,
Well, I'm just saying, though, but seriously though, there's a neighborhood, there's no way to build any houses there, that's all I'm saying, because there's already a neighborhood that backs up to a lot of that comes off of Newtown, but I'm
Sure.
just.
We
Yeah.
have a cell tower thing.
Yeah, we got a
there.
cell tower out there.
that's on the north side.
It wa, no, it's on the same.
Is it on the south side? Okay.
No, it was one
It's
there
right
because
past Newtown.
Okay.
There was development on this side, and then they moved it away from that house.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But you are correct, that side of the road where the cell tower is open, there's a lot of land there.
Yeah, yeah.
Up until you cross the little bridge down there, and then they got that new development.
Right.
That's, right there, but.
Yeah, so-
Anyway,
Yeah, so-
there's
so-
no way to develop the other side of the road, because there's houses back up to it.
Back up to it, yeah.
From another neighborhood.
So the idea though is to be able to somehow,
Connect.
connect that to the existing, so that Billy Howie section is just a real short.
It's very short.
Real short stretch.
Basically, it's gonna let people living down near the campground to walk to the Wesley Chapel Target if they want to.
Sure, yeah.
And the guy that runs up and down the road every day, he will have a sidewalk.
He'll have a sidewalk around.
Right down the road.
And then this section here along 218, essentially Mecklenburg County has sidewalks, a requirement on 218. So this would essentially extend that, which there's already some sidewalks along 218, but it would essentially extend it to Fairview city limits.
Like the old Sycamore area down past there.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
So that is the request. So we did talk to Waxhaw Marvin. They agreed that we need to add those segments to sort of close those gaps. All the other municipalities were satisfied with their existing CTP network, which is why those are really the only changes that you see. Those are the major changes you see. You do have these two small ones, which just kind of made sense to staff.
One quick question. Back up just a minute. There's a section south there is HELEAH. What is that?
Right there?
Yes.
That's on the base map. You can see, they put little place names in here all over this map. So that's just a place name that,
Okay.
yeah, I don't.
Oh, I thought that was part of Florida.
Yeah, Halea or something like that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So what happens now is this isn't the final step in the process. This will go to the Board of County Commissioners. They will pass a resolution, or maybe they don't pass a resolution. But if they pass a resolution, essentially that says we want to start the process to update the CTP. There'll be a 30-day comment period. The county will have a bunch of outreach, social media. We have a newsletter. We'll put it in. We will send an individual mail notice to all the affected property owners. The board will have to meet again to kind of cipher through any comments that we get. We'll share those comments with them. And then we'll have ongoing coordination with Marvin and Waxhaw. Again, that's the timeline. There'll be local resolutions passed to open the comment period. CartPo board, TCC, and full CartPo board will be presented to them as information. They'll take action in hopefully August. Then that public comment period will run. And then we'll kind of get that public comment back. We'll kind of sort through what those results are. And there'll be more local resolutions requesting that CartPo actually take action and update the plan. Then it'll go back for presentation, and then in December, so this is like a 6-month process for starting. We hope if we can follow this timeline in December that TCC and the CartPo board can take some final action on this.
Well, I will be there and advocate for it.
That's right. So what we're asking tonight is that you consider recommending that the BOCC request CartPo open the public comment period for the proposed changes.
I make a motion.
I second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You have a motion to tell the county commissioners we like it. Any other business to come before the board at almost 9 o'clock?
Don't have any other business, and given the time, I don't have a planning staff report. I don't know if anybody else does.
The only planning staff reports jumping around in Australia right now. All right, motion to adjourn. Do I
Make
have
a
one?
motion.
Is there a second? All in favor, aye. Aye, opposed? I hope not. We are adjourned.